Hello everybody, how are we all doing? How are we doing? Are we good? So this is a bit of a hybrid review that I'm doing of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So I'm recording obviously the video for YouTube as well as the audio for my podcast called Uncharted Era with CK61938. So if you are watching this but you would like to also subscribe to my podcast, as I say, do a search for it on wherever you listen from your podcast. Subscribe to it. If you want to drop a review, that'll be great, and yeah, there's a fair number of episodes that I've done on there, so for all you guys who watch my videos, if you want to have a listen to some of my reviews, not reviews, sorry, my podcast episodes that I've done, I think I've done over 30 now. Go ahead, feel free. And for those of you also listening to my podcast as well, you know that I do have a YouTube channel, well over 1,000 videos on there, I think. So yeah, knock yourselves out. So like I say, this is a hybrid, so we are pretty much just going to talk all things Zack Snyder's Justice League. So this is a spoiler filled review, okay? So if you haven't managed to watch a film, I don't know what you've been doing for the last couple of days, or at least for the last 24 hours anyway, but if you haven't managed to watch it, stop listening, stop watching, go and watch the film, immerse yourself in the 4 hours of its epicness, come back here and then listen to me talk about it and go nuts about it as well, because there is a lot to cover. There is a huge amount to cover in this film. So before I actually get started, for those of you watching on the video, you're probably looking behind me and looking at all my stuff that's on my walls. Give you a quick little show of what I've got. So down there, these are the two Justice League posters that were done by a friend of mine called David Story. Just look at them. You can see the black and white and the coloured version there. His Etsy store is 9 Realms Art. I'll pop some links on for you so you can have a look at his store as well. I think he's actually sold out of all the Justice League ones because they were limited edition. I mean limited edition. So I think they're sold out. And above my shoulder here is Jared Leto's Joker. This was done by a friend of mine, another friend of mine who's also a friend of David's. They actually know each other from like Comic-Con and such, and it's Scott Robinson was the guy responsible for that awesome piece of artwork there. So again, I believe he's still got his store going, so I'll pop his details on for you. You can have a look at some of his work as well that he's done, but they are both amazing guys, both David and Scott, epic nerds. David, in fact, is actually one of the parademons in Zack Snyder's Justice League. So if you ever do get the chance to meet David, he will tell you a good story of him and Jason Momoa on set, and how he was, Jason was obviously just a goofy guy, but an awesome guy as well, a nice guy at the same time. David himself is a gentle giant, and he's a nice bloke. So if you ever do meet David or Scott, they are both great guys. So that's them being plugged. I think I'll stop there before their egos get the better of them. I've obviously got some other bits of posters here. These two I got from GB Posters, as well as the Justice League up here as well. The Man of Steel poster that you see just there was one of the Mondo posters that they did when Man of Steel got released. A few more bits of artwork there, and something that someone did on Deviant Art as well. Now what's actually happening is I'm going to take that down and I'm going to replace it with these two. So these two are going above where they're going to replace this one right here. To my left here, you can't see them, but I've got all of my comic, like graphic novels, Funko Pops, my statues as well, and various other bits and pieces sat there. And then around me here, there's some more frames pictures as well. So it is quite the fortress of solitude. I've even got a Superman lampshade. I've got Batman v Superman curtains as well. As you can see, I'm even wearing this just Zack Snyder's Justice League Superman t-shirt that I bought from the States as well. And for those of you who remember, my computer chair, as you can see, Secret Lab, Dark Knight, Batman edition as well. That my missus got me for my 40th birthday last year. I still can't believe that she did that, but probably one of the, if not the best birthday present I've ever received in my life. So, so there we go. Yeah, so Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, a little backstory for my support for the film. When Justice League came out in 2017, I watched it 3 times, and because at the time I just thought to myself, you know, when we got news that Zack was stepping down because of the tragedy that happened with Autumn, and we were told, oh, he's brought in Joss Whedon to finish off the film. You know, at the time I thought, oh, good, okay, fair enough. We know what Joss is like in terms of directing. We've seen Avengers. Age of Ultron is obviously still questionable in a lot of people's minds. I liked it. I really enjoyed Age of Ultron. And also before that, you know, Jeff Johns came on board as part of the executive members of DC Films or DC Entertainment, you know, being part of Warner Brothers. So I was all for that. You know, I was rooting for Jeff because I wanted Jeff to be DC's Kevin Feige in that sense. Sure, he's a comic book writer, doesn't know that much about movies, but he has worked for Richard Donner way back when. He was Richard Donner's assistant once upon a time. So you would think that he would have a bit of, you know, movie knowledge in that sense. Anyway, so when the film came out and we saw what we saw on the screen. Now, me personally, if you've watched my review of Justice League, it's not. I did enjoy it to a degree, but there were elements where I thought, oh God, why did they do that? You know, Superman's face, for example, obviously being the big notable issue there, and various other bits as well. There were some things that I just thought that just sort of let go in that sense. I just thought, you know, like this Flash dropping on top of falling on top of Wonder Woman's chest, and you know, Lois and Martha having their conversation, how Martha was saying how Clark thought you were the thirstiest woman he ever saw, and this, that and the other, all that sort of stuff. I just sort of let it pass over my head. But it wasn't until after the movie came out and I started seeing and hearing whispers that what we saw was not really the intended version. And I started to realise this later on because I went back to look at the trailers, like the first trailer that we saw from Comic-Con, and if you remember my reaction to that, I've got a video of it obviously on YouTube, but if you remember my reaction to that particular trailer, I was an emotional wreck. I was an absolute emotional wreck because it was just seeing the Justice League on the big screen for the first time, and it just made me all emotional. So when I saw the film, yes, I had mixed feelings about it, but I did enjoy it to a degree. So when I started hearing whispers of fans saying this was not the version that Zack had made, I thought to myself, okay, well, I'm gonna let it calm down. Let's see what happens once the smoke clears. Somebody tweeted out saying release the Snyder Cut, and that was way back. You know, it was the day or two later, maybe on the same day, that this person tweeted out the hashtag, the very first hashtag, release the Snyder Cut, and it made a lot of people think, yeah, there's got to be a Snyder Cut out there. So I started hearing whispers. I also heard about the reason why the film still made its November 17 release date was because the likes of Kevin Sujihara wanted the film to be released in November so that they could get their bonuses. I remember hearing about that, and I thought, oof. So you basically rushed the film. I wouldn't have minded if you had delayed the film further to clean up your VFX shots and all that sort of stuff. You might have made it a little bit better. But as more story was coming out and we started to learn a bit more from Zack himself, and he was teasing stuff on Vero. If you've got Vero, you can download it from Google Play or Apple App Store. Vero is a social media app where they don't use any ads, they don't have any algorithms like that, you know, not like Instagram and Twitter and all that, the way that Twitter and Instagram are trying to change things and make it more business appropriate in that sense. Vero is just basically, you can post just about anything that you want, you know, movies, TV shows, pictures, articles, all that sort of stuff. And the guy that actually was the founder, the CEO, is it Ayman Hariri, is a good friend of Zack's. So he developed the app, and Zack uses that a lot. He uses it daily. And so people started signing up for Vero. I remember I signed up for it as well. It was just before Batman v Superman came out, I think, that I started using Vero. And I stopped using it after a while, especially after Justice League. And then I sort of picked it back up again when I started to learn that actually there is a cut that does exist. There is a Snyder cut out there. Zack himself says that a version does exist, and it was 214 minutes long. So we're thinking, wow, a near 3 hour 30 minutes or so, and Warner Brothers didn't want this released for whatever reason. We started hearing more whispers. Then we heard from Ray Fisher, tweeted out saying that he would like to formally retract the statement that he made at Comic-Con in 2017, a few months before Justice League came out, where he basically praised Joss Whedon, because that was what the studios wanted him to say. You can tell straight, you can even, now when you look back at it, you can tell the way that even Jason's body language says it all. You know, he's just sat there like, yeah, I mean, you know, we don't really, we know you don't want to be saying that, but we get it. You know, we're just doing it just for the audience. But yeah, we know what really happened. And then obviously, you know, Ben Affleck was supposed to do the Batman. Rick Famuyiwa was supposed to direct the Flash. There was so much going on behind the scenes, and then Ray Fisher eventually let people know that, hey, during the reshoot this stuff happened. And then you start to get a sense of what really happened, why the reshoots happened, why we got the version that we saw in 2017. There was racial abuse, there was other versions of abuse happening on set. Ray was at the end of a lot of racial abuse, and other members of the film as well. Casey Clemens, we don't see her in the film. Ray Fisher's character is just reduced to just saying the words booyah, for example. You know, they even take out Karen Bryson's Dr. Eleanor Stone as well. Silas Stone, he's in the film, yes, but again, his character's been sort of redone in some way. You know, Ryan Zheng, who plays, is it Ryan Zheng, who plays Dr. Ryan Choi, aka the new Atom as well. You know, it's like they completely removed a lot of integral characters who were supposed to add to the story. And you start to understand, you start to realize that, hang on, there's clearly a lot more going on here. As I'm talking to you, I'm actually looking at the cast list because I want to make sure that I got his name right, the guy that played Ryan Choi. So do forgive me. But yeah, you do start to, yeah, it's Ryan Zheng, so his name Ryan is Ryan Choi, yeah, so it's Ryan Zheng. So he's completely removed from the film. You start to understand that, hang on, because Warner's wanted a 2-hour mandate of the film, and there's articles now, loads and loads of articles, especially from Vanity Fair, where Zack talks about his experience and what really happened behind the scenes. So I've read them, I've spoken about it also on my podcast as well, for those of you who have listened to it. You start to get an understanding of what really happened behind the scenes, what Zack had to go through. Zack even, he lost his fight basically with the studios after Autumn passed away, after she committed suicide. He lost his fight, he lost his appetite, you know, he left, and it was like Warner's chance to rewrite the entire film. and make it more lighter in tone because of the critical panning that Batman v Superman got. And that's the thing, it's all from Batman v Superman. All this has stemmed from the fact that Warner's cut the runtime of Batman v Superman to just 2 hours and 30 minutes, as opposed to allowing it to be the full 3 hours and 2 minutes that Zack had shot, that Zack wanted to release, which he eventually did get released in home video format, you know, Blu-ray and DVD, and that made the film so much better. And it was then that everybody started to realise, what is it Warners are doing here? Do they have a game plan? They did at one point, and then it just went out the window because the producers and the executives were all more concerned about their bonuses, which is why Justice League still came out in 2017. And you start to understand clearly what has been going on behind the scenes. You start to hear all these stories, and at first you're not sure, can you believe it, and this, that and the other. And whilst all that is happening, the fans are out there campaigning. The fans are out there. They've been going to Comic-Con. They've been buying out billboards. They've been donating to the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention. To this date, they have donated and raised over $500,000, $500,000 for the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention, which is just phenomenal. And the campaign for this film has been the marketing itself. None of this has been from Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers have not even put their hands in their pockets to help market this film at all. It's all been Zack. It's all been the fans. Been a help of HBO Max and Warner Media to some degree, but mainly the fans and mainly Zack, mainly other people who are involved in the film as well. You know, they are the ones that marketed this film. This film has received the most marketing for a film that has never been released. Until now, obviously, it's now released. But before that, it has had the biggest marketing drive before it was ever released. It's been the most talked about film that wasn't even released as well. You know, Zack has gone on record having to go at the WB executive and saying, look at what these fans are doing. They have marketed a film that's not even out than any other film that you guys have ever released. And it just speaks volumes. So hats off to the fans. You know, yes, there are a small number of toxic members, but every fandom has its toxic members. Star Trek, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Superman. I know full well about Superman, especially from my Smallville days, those of you who remember. Arrow as well. We all know that they have their toxic fandoms, that they have their gatekeepers, but they are a small number. The overall number, the bigger picture of the fandom, they're the ones who have driven the campaign, who have made people, they've raised awareness basically to not just Zack Snyder's Justice League, not just allowing Zack's creativity and his integrity and his art to be released, his vision, but also for preventing suicide. You know, that was the message, was to prevent suicide, because we know what happened with Autumn. Zack has spoken about it with Vanity Fair. There is an article out there with Vanity Fair where he spoke greatly about Autumn and the troubles that she was going through and what she was, you know, the mental issues that she was facing and everything. So yeah, it's like I said, all the articles are out there. You know, have a look for them. You know, now that the film's actually released, there's a lot more out there to get you understanding of what really happened behind the scenes of this film, and what happened with Zack, what happened with Deborah. I mean, heck, Christopher Nolan. Everybody needs a friend like Christopher Nolan right now, because Christopher Nolan was even in support of Zack's vision. So much so that it was that he and Deborah saw the 2017 version, and they both agreed not to let Zack see it, because even Deborah said it would break his heart if he saw it. Deborah took it for the team. She took one for the Snyders by watching the Justice League, as it's now known. Christopher Nolan watched it, and he even agreed, yeah, he can't see this. How in the world did the executives, I mean, there's even a WB executive, an anonymous WB executive in Vanity Fair article that said, yeah, we saw this film and we can't believe it got released. We cannot understand how something so insufferable could be put out there for the masses. It's beggars belief. it was beggars belief. So yeah, I know I've been wasting a fair amount of time talking about it, but I just wanted to give a little background knowledge in terms of how I myself started to understand the movement. You know, I wasn't a big part of it. I didn't take any part in saying let's release the Snyder Cut. It was only after I started to hear whispers and started to understand what was going on behind the scenes that my mind was like, oh my god. So you're telling me we could have had this in 2017, but instead we got that. Yeah, so I did my best. I've donated as well. I've bought t-shirts to benefit in particular. I mean, this one in particular, I think a lot of you have seen this in particular, this t-shirt that Zack had designed for autumn, and on the back you can see associate producer, basically anybody who was involved in getting the film, you know, just raising awareness or even talking about the film and wanting the film to be released, you became an associate producer. And as you can see, I've got my handle on mine. It had to be done. So yeah, I think it's great. I think it's amazing. I have bought 3 t-shirts. This is one of 3. There's this one. There's the Justice Con one that the Nerd Queens and Wonder Meg hosted back in July of last year. So I've got that, and I've also got the Zack Snyder's Justice League as well, which was also from Ink to the People. So I think you can still get this particular one from Ink to the People. So if you go to inktothepeople.com or just do a search for Zack Snyder's associate producer t-shirt or something like that, you should still be able to purchase it as well. And then, as I say, you are donating to AFSP at the same time. So Into the People and AFSP collaborated together with Zack Snyder and fans of the Snyder Cut, all to raise money for AFSP. There's also an Autumn Snyder donation drive as well. Again, I'll look for the links and I'll post them if I can, and put them in the show notes, obviously, for my podcast, and also in the description of this video as well below, so you can have a go out there and donate. And at the same time, what fans of the Snyder Cut are also asking is, because you've been able to watch this at home, like we all have, pledge, donate the amounts that you would have paid if you had gone to see this at the cinema. So for myself, for example, for me and my missus, it would have cost us about 30 quid, maybe 40 quid. So I'll you know, make sure that I donate that amount as well, because it's only right and it's only fair that we've been able to watch this film from the comfort of our home. But how much would we have spent going to see it at the theatre or at the cinema? You know, for that amount, you know, it's only right that we donate that amount, because even when the DVD, the Blu-ray release for Justice League came out, people who didn't buy that used that money to donate to AFSP as well. So exactly the same thing as then is what the fans are asking for now. So it makes perfect sense. So anyway, let's get to the film itself. So I was up at 6:30 yesterday morning to watch this film. I got myself ready, you know, did a few things, got a few things sorted and everything. I was up at 6:30 and put the TV on. I'd subscribed to Now TV and I was all set. I was like, yes, here we go. Recorded a quick video on Instagram to say I'm ready, I've got it lined up and this, that and the other. Put the channel on to watch, and it was playing its adverts and everything, and just as it hit 7 o'clock, it came up with a message saying, we're really sorry, but the scheduled program has now been changed. I was like, what are you doing? How can you do this? Luckily, I had a backup. I'm not going to say what that backup is, but I had a backup and I was able to watch it. And I watched it and I was just sat there in absolute awe, just seeing everything unfold, watching this film for the first time in its entirety, in its glory, in its intended version, in the way that Zack wanted it done. And at first I was recording my reactions on my phone. I thought, let me record my reactions so that I can chop it down to a certain amount and then post it online so people could see, you know, my reaction and everything. But A, my phone ran out of space. B, my computer's not powerful enough to process the huge amount of video that I'd recorded. It was like roughly about 40 gigs worth that I had recorded, and I was like, okay, yeah, this computer's not powerful enough for that. You know, it's not like a like a double processor type of thing with like 64 gigabyte of RAM or something ridiculous like that. So it's a nifty little machine. I built it myself. It's cute. It's small, but yeah, it's not got the actual processing power to do that. So I thought, right, I'm just going to scratch that. And at the end of the film, about an hour later, I decided to just do a quick little mini review that I've posted on Instagram on IGTV as it's known. So people have seen that. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Obviously, it's just a small 8-minute video, but I thought to myself, I need to do a bigger one. I definitely need to do a more spoiler-filled review. So here we are. But seriously, that film, I've watched it 3 times now, so twice on my own, and then the third time watched with watched with my missus. She watched it as well. Bless her, she was tired. She was working yesterday, so she was absolutely tired. We were both tired at this point. I needed on my second viewing, I started to fall asleep because I was that tired. Like I said, I've been up since 6:30 in the morning. Didn't go to bed till like 1:15 this morning, so I did pretty well, to be fair, for being up for almost 19 hours or so. So not too bad. But yeah, no, we watched it last night together. She really enjoyed it as well, and yeah, she knew it was a completely different film and everything. I remember when I showed her the trailer for Zack Snyder's Justice League, and she was like, "Oh my god, it's a completely different film." I said, "Yes, it is. Hell yes, it is." So yeah, it was just. I mean, I'll try and talk through in certain segments. But you know me. For those of you who have watched my reviews in the past, you know what I'm like. I tend to ramble, so I'm not even going to say sorry about it. But here we go. So, the plot of the film. Well, the synopsis itself is described as thus. It's so it's obviously described as, labelled as Zack Snyder's definitive director's cut of Justice League, because that's exactly what it is. Storyline: determined to ensure Superman's ultimate sacrifice was not in vain, Bruce Wayne aligns forces with Diana Prince with plans to recruit a team of metahumans to protect the world from an approaching threat of catastrophic proportions. The task proves more difficult than Bruce imagined, as each of the recruits must face the demons of their own past to transcend that which has led them back, allowing them to come together, finally forming an unprecedented league of heroes. Now united, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Cyborg and the Flash may be too late to save the planet from Steppenwolf, Darkseid and Darkseid and their dreadful intentions. That's basically the crux of it. But the plot itself, the way that the film opens as well, which is just awesome. It literally opens from the point of Superman's death at the hands of Doomsday, where Doomsday has pierced him with his, his essentially his bony finger, and it's shades of, it's like a mirror of when Zod killed Jor-El in Man of Steel in the opening 20 minutes, where he brings out the spike and then shoves it into Jor-El's side, instantly killing him. So it's similar to that, because don't forget, it's Zod's dead body mixed with Lex Luthor's blood that creates Doomsday. So we are seeing this different look at Superman dying at the hands of Doomsday, and it's after Doomsday pulls out his bony finger that Superman cries out. Now remember, at the end of Batman v Superman, we hear him cry out, and then we hear then Lex Luthor telling Batman that the bell's already been rung. They've heard it out in the dark among the stars. Ding dong, the god is dead. Well, what we see here, and it's the same time what we saw in the trailer. You see Superman is crying. Now it's slowed down, so it shows you the sound waves that he's making as he's crying out, as he's dying, basically sounding off his last breath in that sense. The sound waves are reverberating all around through Gotham, to Metropolis, to Atlantis, to Themyscira, basically all around the world in that sense. And what it does is it awakens the mother boxes. So all three mother boxes, the one that Cyborg's got, because we see Cyborg, he turns around and then we can see the mother box in his apartment, you know, shaking and making a noise, pinging as it were. And then the same thing happens to the one in Atlantis, where we also see Mira. And then the third one at Themyscira as well, where eventually it cracks open and they then, you know, alert Queen Hippolyta to come and see what has happened. So all three boxes have woken up. Okay. Now, what then happens here is this is what prompts Steppenwolf to invade Earth. You know, he eventually, because of that, he then invades Earth, and we know that, you know, the bringing the three mother boxes together will create the unity, which will then allow Darkseid to invade Earth and basically get everybody and brainwash them, you know, because he's also looking for the anti-life equation. And it's not until later on in the film that we find out that Earth has the anti-life equation. Now, Earth is a place that Darkseid has visited before, and I'll talk about that later on. He has visited it before, but he, again, like I say, even though he was looking for the anti-life equation, he didn't know at the time it was on Earth. He was coming to conquer Earth like he's done 100,000 other worlds, and basically converted the people into parademons. You know, whatever world he has invaded, he took people and turned them into parademons, basically into mindless creatures, as Diana calls them. So all of that's happening. So, as I say, Steppenwolf, he picks up the first mother box from Themyscira, taking on the Amazons. And can I just say, the Amazons, the scene with the Amazons is so much better than what we saw in 2017. It's more fleshed out. You can feel it. And then the bit where Steppenwolf is saying, you know, I have come for your fear, and you hear Hippolyta just say, daughters of Themyscira, show him your fear. And all at once, we have no fear. And I'm just like, yes, that's yes, they have no fear indeed. And brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And all of them fighting him. I mean, there's even one point where Steppenwolf's got like dozens of arrows pierced into him, and then he takes on the Amazons, and then it's just like, just does that, clenches, and then breaks all the arrows. It's like, and I'm thinking, why didn't Boromir do that in Lord of the Rings? Anyway, sorry, that's where my mind went. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. But yeah, just and Steppenwolf, the look of Steppenwolf, the look of Darkseid and Darkseid. I'll talk about that later on. But anyway, so like I say, so that's the plot, is that, you know, Steppenwolf is gathering the mother boxes to create the unity. Like I say, he gets the first one from Themyscira, gets the second one from Atlantis, and then also eventually gets the third one as well. And we then find out, so don't forget, now this is what's interesting. In the 2017 film, they decided to bring in the Russian family for whatever reason. For what reason? There was no need for Russian family, because the plot, the story in this film, in Zack Snyder's Justice League, is that Steppenwolf chooses a nuclear-ridden town. And even at one point, you hear him say, this place is toxic, that's good. And he goes into this nuclear power plant. And you then understand that the entire town is empty. Nobody's there. It's like Chernobyl. Basically, it's essentially Chernobyl, but it's not Chernobyl. I can't remember what town it was called. I forgot what Diana calls it in the film. I know I've seen it 3 times, but yeah, never mind. But yeah, it's basically nuclear ridden. To the point of where, you know, even the military won't even go near it. So because of all the radiation and stuff. So it was essentially like Chernobyl. So Steppenwolf chooses that as his base of operations, as a stronghold, turns the nuclear power plant into a stronghold, uses the first mother box to locate the other two. Basically, the way that they locate them is by gathering people who have been near the mother box, and it's finding out how they know where the mother box is by using this. Now, this is interesting. Now, I don't know if this was done on purpose, but Steppenwolf uses this device, this creature device, that walks. It's basically like a spider, but at the same time, the way that it positions itself on the person's head, almost covering their face, kind of like Starro the Conqueror. Like I said, I don't know if that was intentional, but there's an Easter egg right there for you. That was the first thing I thought of was, ooh, is Zack teasing us about Starro the Conqueror here or something? Because, okay, it's quite interesting. So anyway, so you see that, and it projects visions from the person's mind, and to let Steppenwolf know if they've seen the mother box, if they've been near a mother box. So he does it to an Atlantean. He does it to Howard, the janitor from Star Labs, as well. So, you know, after he's caught the scientist and the janitor from Star Labs, and then eventually one of the parademons captures Silas Stone as well. So that happens, and then, like I say, before he gets to the second, no, not the second, the third mother box, because like I say, he's already got two at this point. The tunnel scene under Stryker's Island, the fight scene there, the first fight scene, which is just glorious, just absolutely glorious. I mean, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Cyborg, Batman, and then Aquaman joins in as well, because don't forget, Bruce Wayne has been recruiting. Because while Steppenwolf is starting to look for the mother boxes, Bruce Wayne is recruiting. He's already obviously got Diana on his side, but we see him, the opening film, after I want to call it the prologue of, because don't forget, the film is divided into chapters. Whilst the prologue itself isn't called a prologue, you know it's the prologue. You know, the opening scene with Superman dying at the hands of Doomsday, his cry sending out sound waves throughout the world, wakening the mother boxes. First thing that we'd see is we're in Iceland, where Bruce is trying to recruit Aquaman. That scene is so much better than what we saw in 2017 as well. It feels more organic. I think that's the other thing about this film, is that the overallness about it, it just feels so much more organic. It's so much more flowed. The storyline just works. You know, there's no cracky one-liners. No, let's put a one-liner here, let's put this joke there, let's put this joke there. No, it all flows. Everything flows. Anyway, I'm diverting again. So yeah, like I say, Bruce Wayne is recruiting people. You know, he goes to meet Aquaman. Aquaman essentially says no. And again, the scene in the water, you know, like in 2017, where we saw him, you know, sort of like dive into the water. Well, you don't see that at all. We don't even see him dive in. Or we hear three Icelandic women, they start singing this harmonic tune. It's so beautiful as well. It really does get you going. And then when Bruce then turns back to the water, we see that Arthur's left, you know. So Arthur's basically said no. Bruce then meets Alfred. Alfred, by the way, Jeremy Irons. Oh my God. What a character and what a guy is Jeremy Irons. Just so good to see him in this film. And there's a scene that he has with Diana Prince, where she's making tea, and all I'll say is, he has a way of making tea, does Alfred. He's old school. Like my missus was saying, you've got all this technology and you've still got a regular kettle. Why haven't you got like an electric kettle? I'm like, Alfred is old school. Do not get in the way of Alfred's tea making, because he is old school. He's telling Diana, pour the water in first. We don't want the tea to, you know, to get to scald. One spoon is enough, and leave it to mash. and at the same time, she's asking, "Oh, would you like a cuppa?" He's like, "No, I'm good," because he's doing something to Batman's gauntlets, which I'll get onto very soon. Doing something with Batman's gauntlets, and he says, "Oh, no, let me do that, Miss Prince. Let me get the tea." And she's like, "No, it's fine." And then he starts telling her what she should be doing with it as well. So do not get in the way of Alfred's tea making. But yeah, no, the dynamic between Bruce and Alfred in this film, so much better. It's got so much emotion and so many layers to it as well. You know, Bruce recruiting everybody, you know, and he's, you know, Alfred is saying, you know, look, you've not recruited anybody, and he's like, well, no, I've recruited one if you include Diana. But you know, at the same time, Bruce is saying, look, I made a promise to him, to Superman, on his grave. You know, it's like after the events of Batman v Superman, Bruce has become a changed man now. He is no longer this dark. Yes, he's still dark and broody, but he's no longer this full of rage. I'm going to kill people that is in my way, because that was, you know, he changed his code after what happened with Robin, no doubt, and all that stuff. You know, that he, after the events with Superman and Batman v Superman and Doomsday and everything, that he said he would not fail him in death, that he would make a promise, find the others. There's a war coming, you know, and this, that, and the other, and that's been his mission, was to recruit the likes of Arthur, the likes of Diana, the likes of Ray, and also obviously Barry as well. So all of that happening. So all that's going on. So like I say, but Bruce is recruiting. Steppenwolf is finding the mother boxes. We see Arthur, after he has left Bruce, goes to a shrine to the King Atlan. You know, so this isn't the same one that we saw in Aquaman. This is a different shrine, obviously. I think it's like the fake one in that sense. And Volko, played by Willem Dafoe, comes to him, basically says to him, you know, it's time for you to take up your mother's trident, because this is what Orm is up to, this is what he's doing. And that, obviously, that particular moment there is what sets up Aquaman. You know, and that's the other thing about this film, is that it sets up sort of like other films. You know, straight away you can see that it sets up Aquaman. You can see that it would also, that it follows on from Wonder Woman as well. You could also see how it would have set up Cyborg's solo outing, Flash solo outing that we are going to get next year, but how that's going to be affected now with what we know. We don't know, because what we do know is that Ray Fisher's Cyborg isn't going to be in the Flash, and I've already spoken about that sort of side of things at the beginning of this video, of this recording. Because of what's happened behind the scenes, you know, Ray Fisher is now no longer going to be in the Flash. But who knows, if enough people shout and if enough people campaign, maybe Jason Kylar, aka the CEO of Warner Media, might turn around to Warner Brothers and say, put Ray Fisher back in the film, because he should be in the film, and give him his solo outing, because he deserves it. Again, more on Cyborg later, and Ray Fisher, because oh my god. Right, where was I? Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I completely forgot what I was talking about. But basically, yeah. So yeah, Aquaman. So he's talking to Volko, and like I say, you know, with Volko, he's got his armor for Arthur. He's got his mother's trident, well, Quindent even, and it's basically saying, you know, take it up. You need to go up against Orm. You need to do this. You need to do that. You are the rightful king of Atlantis. This, that, and the other, and you know, Arthur refusing because of what, you know, Volko had told him initially of what his people, the Atlanteans, had done to his mother. We already know what happened, obviously, in Aquaman itself, but you can tell straight away, just watching those two interact, how that then brings in the Aquaman film itself as well. And then later on, we also see Mira, played by Amber Heard as well. You know, at the beginning of the film, where Superman's cry is reverberating around the world, and it eventually wakes the Atlantis mother box, and we see Mira there as well. And then, you know, like I say, we've seen Themyscira, the fight scene, the battle scene between the Amazons and Steppenwolf again, which was just brilliant. And Steppenwolf's look was just fantastic. His spiky armor, and it moves as well whilst he's talking. It sort of like moves in certain ways, but the way that the spikes just come out when he's like in full battle mode and everything. And there's a scene obviously where he's talking to Darkseid, because we hear Darkseid, we see Darkseid as well, voiced by Ray Porter, who has been an absolute gentleman, by the way. If you've not heard, if you've not seen Justice Con, last year, Ray Porter, he actually did tweet some time ago, not long after 2017's film had been released, that he had tweeted that he was the voice of Darkseid. Now people were thinking, who is this Ray Porter person? Why is he claiming that he's the voice of Darkseid and this, that, and the other? But it's only after people started to really delve deep into what really happened that we started to believe, well, hang on, actually no, yeah, Ray Porter, this guy voiced Darkseid. And we were all thinking, oh my god. And he didn't just voice him, he did the mocap as well. It was himself, Ray Porter, as Darkseid. You've got Kieran Hines, obviously, as Steppenwolf. He's the voice of Steppenwolf as well as doing the mocap. And Peter Guinness does the voice of Darkseid as well. So all three of them, they were all involved. Kieran Hines has spoken highly about the Snyder Cut. He was also talking about how he would love for Zack's vision to be seen as well. Ray Porter, same thing. So there were actors, there were people who were working not just behind the scenes. You had stunt performers, you had smaller people playing smaller characters who were all in voice, in unison, to wanting Zack Snyder's Justice League to be released. So, like I say, we see Darkseid for the first time in this film, and oh my god, he is menacing. He is menacing to the point of where Steppenwolf bows down to him, and his armor starts falling off, sort of like closes it. It's sort of like coming off him. So we're seeing a naked Steppenwolf, obviously not full head to toe, but we see the majority of him, fully sort of his flesh in that sense. And all that sort of stuff in all his glory. But hearing Darkseid talk, live action Darkseid, because we've seen Darkseid in other forms. We've obviously seen animated Darkseid voiced by Michael Ironside in Superman the Animated Series, as well as Justice League Animated Series as well. We've seen him on Smallville, if you could call that Darkseid. But seeing him on the in film and hearing his voice, oh, goodness me, wow. You Thanos has got nothing on Darkseid, basically, is all I'm going to say. Thanos has got nothing on Darkseid. But damn, so hats off to Ray Porter, and just wow, well done. There was just, yeah, made Darkseid frightening, absolutely frightening, because we see them again at the end of film, Darkseid and Darkseid and Granny Goodness. Granny Goodness, we see her in there. She doesn't speak, so we don't know who's playing her. So we have no idea. But yeah, so like I say, Steppenwolf, he's bowing down to Darkseid. He's naked. He's already gathered 2 mother boxes at this point, and this is when he then also tells Darkseid that he has found the anti-life equation. It is here on Earth. One of the mother box showed him that Earth is where the anti-life equation lives. So all of that is happening. Now, I want to talk about the history lesson, because the history lesson really is an important part of the film. We get a much better fleshed out version of the history lesson, because in 2017 the history lesson was that Steppenwolf came to Earth to bring the mother boxes, unite them, this, that and the other, and all that sort of stuff. In actual fact, it wasn't Steppenwolf, it was Darkseid, or as he was known then by the name of Uxas, although they don't call him Uxas in this film at all. So I'm a bit surprised as to how Zack came about that he was first known as Uxas. Anyway, Diana's telling the story to Bruce, because she received the arrow of Artemis from Hippolyta that got shot into the shrine of the Amazons. She knew that it meant invasion, so she went in search of the history of this invasion that happened many centuries and eons ago. So she took the arrow, went into the deeper crevices of where the arrow had landed. She went underneath into the tombs, as it were, sort of like a cave, to learn the backstory, the history of the first time Darkseid had arrived on Earth with his parademons. And she tells the story to Bruce. So we've already done part 1, which was Don't Count on It, Batman, which is what Arthur does actually tells Batman. Part 2 is known as the Age of Heroes, and this is where we learn about the history. So the history lesson, goodness me, it's just, like I say, it's so much more fleshed out. We learn of the war with against Darkseid and the parademons with Atlanteans, Amazons, men, the old gods, Zeus, Ares, and Artemis. I've got something to say about Ares, but I'll mention that in a moment. And also Guardians from the Stars. Now they say Guardians from the Stars, but we only see one, and that one is a Green Lantern. It is the same Green Lantern that we did see in 2017, but he gets a bit more action here. And this particular Green Lantern is known as Yalan Gur, I believe is his name. Yalan Gur. Yeah, I believe he was the Green Lantern of Sector 2814 at that time. So he was helping Earth to fight back against Darkseid. We see the King of Atlantis. I don't think it's King Atlan himself, because this was... No, it could have been King Atlan, sorry. Because this was before Atlantis had been submerged underwater. The Amazons were before they were betrayed and exiled, and enslaved even, rather. And obviously you've got the men as well, the kings and such as well. And obviously you've got the gods, Zeus, Ares, his son, and of course Artemis. Now, David Thewlis is cast in this film as Ares. He does look a bit weird. So that's my only gripe about it. But it's good that he, for, again, connection to the Wonder Woman film, they brought in David Thewlis back to continue his role as Ares, because he was Ares in Wonder Woman. So it's good, again, there's that connection. But then Zeus, you got this proper ripped guy as Zeus. And I'm sure I remember reading somewhere that that Zack actually wanted a guy who was just so ripped that he looked like a statue, and this guy was ripped beyond belief. The guy in question is a guy called Sergei Constance, and he is just, goodness me, he looks absolutely, he is stacked. He's stacked, he's jacked. Yeah, he looks every inch Zeus. So anyway, so you've got them all fighting together, all taking on Darkseid, and Darkseid, he slams the ground with his spear, unleashes all this lava, and you can see the Omega symbol in there as well as imprinted, because he's here. He's come to bring the mother boxes, to unite them, to get them synchronized. Therefore, he can submit and take on people's will. Therefore, they don't have any free will. They will join him of his own accord and such as well. Right, I'm just having a swig of water because my stomach's rumbling, so I need to keep that quiet. So I do apologise if you can hear that. But yeah, he's here because he's already defeated hundreds, thousands of other worlds, and all the parademons are with him. You see all the ships coming in and everything. He wants to convert Earth into Apocalypse, because Diana does mention that as well in the history lesson to Bruce. But the heroes fight together. They all come as one. Initially, they were supposed to all be apart, but they all come as one. All of these parts of, all these people coming together to fight for one cause, to stop Earth from being desecrated and being enslaved and being taken over by alien forces. So they eventually separate the mother boxes. Darkseid is defeated by Ares, at the hands of Ares. Basically, Ares was one that put the final blow on Darkseid, and he retreats. So Darkseid and his parademons, they all retreat as well. And the mother boxes are left behind on Earth, and it was agreed that each tribe, the Amazons, the Atlanteans, and the men, would hide the mother boxes in all their various areas, to make sure that it is not used ever again. But obviously Superman dies, Mother boxes have awakened. Steppenwolf comes in. He's picked up. He's already got 2 mother boxes. He hasn't got the 3rd one. So that's the history. Like I say, the history lesson is just so much better now. So much better. Oh, goodness me. The music as well. I will talk more about the music later on, but the music in this scene in particular is just so wonderful. In fact, the music all throughout is just wonderful as well. The other part that I forgot to mention is about Wonder Woman, because at the opening part of the film, remember in 2017 we obviously saw what happened in London, you know, with the terrorists and such. Well, we get a much better look at that, because what we saw in 2017, similar, but it wasn't what Zack had shot. In this version, it's not just people from who are working in the Old Bailey. I think it's the Old Bailey that they're in. The school children as well. So these terrorists, they're not all about ransom. They're not all about demands. They make demands, but they were going to blow up the Old Bailey anyway. Send the Earth back to send the UK back to the Dark Ages. That's what they are. Because, you know, Wonder Woman apprehends one of them and compels him to tell the truth as to who they are, what they're doing, and so she comes in to save everybody, and it just works so much better. You see her take on the bad guy. She moves very quickly. Her speed is amazing. She moves so quickly. She's dodging bullets as well at the same time, and manages to pick up the bomb, takes it all the way out into out of the building, through the roof, and it blows up out in the air. And just as the last guy who's standing is about to start shooting the civilians, you see Diana come down, blocks a bullet, and that look that she gives him, the side eye, as if to say, really, you're going to do this? Okay. So he switches the gun to go full automatic, and that's when she's just dodging the bullets, moving, making sure nobody's getting hit with a bullet and everything, saves the school kids as well at the same time. Now, just the fact that, you know, the guy's like, I don't believe it. She says, believe it. And just as he's about to reload the gun, she brings the gauntlets together, and he's gone. He's gone. You know, window smashes. The police down at the bottom are all covering, making sure that they're seeking cover and hiding to make sure they're not being hit by the rubble. But she saves everybody. There's this one schoolgirl who is just sat there, and she says, "Oh, are you okay, princess?" And she's like, "Can I be like you someday?" And Diana just replies, "You can be whoever you want." And that just, if that doesn't make Wonder Woman, I don't know what does, because that wasn't the only scene that made Wonder Woman. Her everything throughout this film with Wonder Woman. In fact, all the characters, they are exactly who they're supposed to be. The characters are well driven, they are well developed, they are well told. You know, each character gets a moment to shine. Barry Allen, you know, even his scene. He's arrived late for a job interview. And it's a dog grooming parlour, and he bumps into Iris West, Casey Clemens. We see her for the first time, and you know, they give each other this loving look, sort of like, oh, hello, hi, how are you? But yeah, Barry's late. He's giving an excuse as to why he's late, that there's a woman in front of him that was counting change, the bus was late, then it did turn up, and then there's a woman counting a change in front of her, she's 107 years old, all that sort of stuff. It's just Barry being Barry. So Barry adds the comic relief in this film, and the comedy and the humour actually works. You know, like I said before, it's not like they just put a one-liner here or they put a one-liner there. The humour just works. It's organic. It just, like that. It's just the right type of moment for the humour to happen and such. You know, and you see it all throughout the film that Barry is the comic relief. He really does add the comic relief in this film. So like I say, he's appearing for a job interview that he's late for, bumps into Iris. Iris goes into her car, she's trying to start it up. At the beginning of all of this, we see a truck going into Central City, which has the name Gardner Fox on it. He's one of the co-creators of the Flash. But he also gave us Hawkman, Sandman, and the Justice Society, as well as the Justice League as well. But he was also responsible for apparently showing Batman using the Batarang for the first time, and also introduced the multiverse in Flash 123 from 1961. I'm just reading off some Easter eggs here, so there's a few that I'm going to be doing as I'm going along. But yeah, so we see this truck coming in. There's a guy, he's eating a hamburger, and he drops it, and he's actually trying to pick it up. So at this point, he's not watching the road. So Iris is starting her car. Meanwhile, Barry is, giving his resume to the manager at this dog parlor, and still looking at Iris as she's driving away eventually. Then the truck comes along, doesn't stop because it's supposed to stop at a red light, doesn't stop. Iris' car slams into it, and it's at this point time slows, and then we see Barry. He turns on his shoes, breaks them all instantly. The shoes are ruined. The shoes themselves have got the Flash symbol on the side, as if to indicate, like Hermes. How Hermes has his wings on the back of his feet. It's kind of like that. So anyway, he turns, ruins his shoes, runs, pushes his finger through the glass. It ripples, and then it breaks, and then he's running. You got the music playing in the background. It's a very, very, very nice song that's being played in the background. And then there's Barry. He sees Iris, just looking at her so lovely, thinking, "Oh, hello, you're cute. Let me save you." And then he picks up a hot dog, and you're thinking, okay, right, puts it in his pocket, saves Iris. The car eventually, rolls away, gets blown up. The truck driver then realizes what has happened, and he stops the truck. He's like, oh, what did I miss? Anyway, before we know it, Barry's back in the dog parlor because he's ran away from Iris, and he's ran away from her, and he's left her in the middle of the street. He's back in the dog parlor. He's amongst the dogs, and he's telling the manager, "Oh, I found in my experience that if you have a snack, it really helps with the dogs." This, that, and the other. He's talking about stuff, saying this. "Oh, I hope everybody's okay." Oh my God, what happened? And all that stuff. And you're thinking, she's looking up at one point, thinking, "Is he? Oh, he's down there with the dogs." And then he just sort of like says, "So I start on Monday." Just like, Barry, what the hell? And then obviously we see Henry Allen as well at Iron Heights, played by Billy Crudup. We already know, it's been said that he may not be appearing in the Flash film because of scheduling conflicts, because he's doing the morning show for Apple TV, the second season. But since the film's not due out till November of next year, they could easily still work it out so that Billy can still do his scenes later on. So I hope that they do. I hope they don't recast Henry Allen, because that was the plan. That's the plan, is to recast Henry Allen. But I hope they don't. I hope they do. You still use Billy in some capacity and still allow him to come and do some scenes, whether it's either a pickup or some reshoots, whatever. You've got plenty of time. So please don't recast Billy. But anyway, like I say, we're at Iron Heights. Barry's talking to his dad. Henry saying how he shouldn't be doing all these dead-end jobs. Why is he becoming a criminal justice major? Why is he doing that at college? And Barry's like, "Oh, I don't know. Let me see. My father's in jail for the murder of my mother for the crime that he didn't commit. I don't know why I would be doing a criminal justice major at college, this, that, and the other." So Barry just feels, it's his duty to get into that arena to try and clear his dad's name. That's what he wants to do. So they have a bit of a fallout. Like I say, then eventually that's when Barry bumps into Bruce, and then we see that scene between Bruce and Barry that we heard about at Comic-Con, or is it WonderCon? I believe it was one of the cons way back when, and they spoke about this particular scene between Barry and Bruce, and it was just great just to see that. Not the version that we got in 2017. This is much better. It's, again, organic. It works really well. It's not overly done or anything. And eventually Barry telling Bruce that he's like, a black hole of snacks, a snack hole. How many people have been recruited so far? 3, including Barry. So that's Bruce, Diana, and Barry, obviously. And that's when he asks, oh, what's your superpower again? Oh, I'm rich. And yeah, Bruce is rich. Because throughout the film, Bruce is talking about various things that he uses to help the League. You know, like when he's recruiting Aquaman, he said he will give $25,000 to whoever allows him to speak to Aquaman. You know, he talks about his satellites, and Barry's like, you have a satellite? And Bruce's like, I've got 6. Okay, wow, 6 satellites. Whoa, okay. You know, and all these other bits and pieces as well. And his car in particular. I mean, look at that car. Flipping out. That is some prototype if ever I've seen one. And at that end of that scene between Barry and Bruce as they're driving off, you see this billboard. This is such a touching moment. This is a billboard from the AFSP. Just simply says, "You are not alone." Not alone is in red. And it's just, it's great to see that as well, because again, that's for autumn. This whole film is dedicated to autumn anyway. But yeah, you see that, and it's just wonderful just to see that play out. What else do I want to mention? So yeah, so like I say, Barry, he adds the humour to the film. Batman, Bruce Wayne, I mean, this is the Bruce Wayne and the Batman that we needed to see. You know, this is Batman. Batman just being Batman, and Bruce Wayne just being Bruce Wayne as well. You know, the scene that I was mentioning about with Alfred and Diana, where Alfred is working on these gauntlets. Remember in the trailer, we saw Batman deflecting the laser beams from the parademons, and we're thinking, oh, how's he done that? Has he spoken to Diana? And, you know, looked at her gauntlets and thought, I wouldn't mind implementing that. Well, it does appear that I think is the case, because Alfred is working on them, and Diana's asking him, you know, oh, what's that you're working on? It's, oh, these new gauntlets, you know, it's to absorb energy, and you know, he picked up the Kryptonian blaster that they got from the scout ship, and he demonstrates it on the gauntlet, which it absorbs the energy, dissipates it, and Diana's like, oh, gauntlets that can absorb energy and dissipate them, and then, you know, Alfred's like, it was Bruce's idea, and then she quips, maybe he should do a lasso as well, you know, in black. It's like Diana's basically saying, Bruce didn't think of this all by himself, did he? I know where he got the idea from. We're thinking the same thing. We're like, yeah, we're with you there, Diana. We know exactly where Bruce got the idea from, and they work to full effect. They really do work. They definitely come into play very much later on in the film as well. But yeah, like I say, Bruce being Bruce, Wonder Woman as well, absolutely badass. I've already mentioned Flash, but I want to talk about Cyborg. I really want to talk about Cyborg. I want to talk about Ray Fisher. Ray Fisher has campaigned like there is no tomorrow for this film. He has probably been the only core cast member that has really given voice to Zack Snyder's Justice League. He has been the driving force in working with the fans in tandem, and, you know, bringing awareness to this film, letting everybody know that this film exists. Here's what you should have seen. His character, as I mentioned, was redone in the reshoots. Zack Snyder has often said that Cyborg is the heart of the film. Ray Fisher himself worked with Zack Snyder and the writer Chris Terrio to talk about Cyborg's character, to develop his character, to talk about what he should do, how he should act, how he should be, and all this other stuff. Ray Fisher even tweeted, and I'm going to try and find the tweet as I'm talking to you, about Cyborg, who he is, and everything that he stood for, what the character means to him directly as well. And when you watch the film, there's no lie when they say that Cyborg is the heart of the film. He truly is. And Ray Fisher's performance, it's just stellar. It stands out. His character, his performance stands out in the film. So much so that there's even a scene when he's learning about his gifts and his powers, and what he can do. There's a scene where he's watching this woman, you know, just a regular person. She works at a diner, and you know, we see in her social security number, we see how much money she's got in the bank and what her net worth is. She's barely got anything in the bank, and her net worth is just, it's not even, you know, you could say it's not worth mentioning. But he's watching her, he's seeing her work. She gives money to a homeless man, to a homeless person as well, you know, because at one point we see somebody who looks like somebody who's got money walk past the homeless person, but she knows what it's like to not have anything. She still gives the homeless man some money. She's celebrating her son's birthday. She's out shopping with her children. It's something she wants to buy, but she sees how much it is and realizes, I can't afford it, puts it back on the shelf. She's been evicted from her home as well, and she's on her knees. She's just basically on the last legs. And you see what Cyborg does. He realizes that this woman shouldn't be living like this. This should not be happening to her, and he increases her money, gives her $100,000, makes out that she's won this Gotham City lottery, and he's standing there. He sees her at the ATM. She sees her bank balance change, and she suddenly just cries out in happiness. And the character's name is called Linda J. Reed, and the woman who plays her, she basically tweeted, "Oh, am I in the film because I was removed from the Whedon cut?" And we're thinking, oh my god, again, another integral part of the film cut out by Joss Whedon. She says it here. Her Twitter account is Meep Maud, so that's MEEPIMAUD, and she's known as WonderCam. She's a Chinese American actor. She's actually living in London. I didn't know that. But she basically says, so let's have a look. What's her name? It's Amanda Maud is her name. So Amanda Maud, by the looks of it, is her name. And so the character that she plays is Linda J. Reed. And she basically tweeted, she says, "I was cut from the Whedon version. Can someone please let me know if I'm in this version? Trying to figure out how to view it, but please let me know if I made this cut. I'm the single mum waitress in Cyborg's backstory." And it's such a moving scene. At the point of where Ray Fisher even quote tweeted and said, you are amazing in it. Thank you for your work." And he uses her handle, #SnyderCut. But like I say, you could tell straight away just looking at Ray's performance and just seeing how Cyborg is in this film. Because yeah, we get his backstory. He's playing football. He's scored a touchdown. His mum, Dr. Eleanor Stone, is in the stands. She's, you know, she's absolutely in awe of what he's done. She's emphatic. She's celebrating and congratulating him. But there's an empty seat next to her, and that empty seat should be his father, Dr. Silas Stone. There's even one scene where the dean of the college is talking to Ray's mother, Cyborg's mother, Victor Stone's mother, and he's saying, you know, I know he's the captain of the football team and that he's a bona fide genius, but that doesn't give him an excuse. It could, well, first he make the big mistake that he makes is calling Victor's mother Mrs. Stone, and she corrects him and says, Dr. Stone. Don't you forget it, Dr. Eleanor Stone. And then he's saying, oh, that doesn't give him the right to hack into our systems and change Sarah's grades. And Dr. Stone is just basically saying, well, Eleanor's parents lost their home, and Victor helped her out because he's a good person, because he has a good heart. What did you do? You know, because that's who Victor is. He is a good person. He has a good heart, and it shows in this film. It really does show. His performance, like I say, Ray Fisher's performance is just incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. And this could have been the moment that he could have had his breakout. It was his breakout performance. and Warner Brothers ruined that. Joss Whedon, Jeff Johns, John Berg, they all ruined that. They all ruined it by making out that, well, we don't want an angry black man at the centre of this film. And then they decide to cut his scenes and reduce him to just saying the word booyah. It's like, what's wrong with you? What is wrong with you? And now, as far as I'm concerned, Ray Fisher, I think after this film, now that everybody has seen it, I think Ray Fisher is going to be in the limelight now. I think he's going to start getting more work, and fully deserved as well, because, like I say, throughout the film, his role is so integral. I mean, there's a scene where he buries the mother box to hide it from the parademons. He buries the mother box into his grave, because he goes to the grave of him and his mother. He buries it into his grave. Eventually he gets it back out after the fight with Steppenwolf under the tunnel in Stryker's Island. He goes to get it out, and this is where we go to part 3, which is the change machine. No, sorry, part 3 is Beloved Mother, Beloved Son. So I'm already talking about part 3, Beloved Mother, Beloved Son, which is on the tombstones of both Dr. Eleanor Stone and Victor Stone. Beloved Mother, Beloved Son. So we are learning, like, it's his backstory at this point. And then we get to part 4, which is Change Machine. So this is where we are talking about the mother box now, and how it made Victor into Cyborg. You know, because there's even one point when they arrive at the Wayne Aerotech place where Bruce is trying to tinker with the flying fox. It needs to fly and everything, because even Cyborg talks to it and is telling him that he needs to fly. I need to fly. Let me fly, Cyborg. That Aquaman, aka Arthur Curry, is very skeptical about Victor. He's saying, "Oh, you know so much about these mother boxes," and he's like, and Cyborg's like, "Well, is there something you want to say?" And he's like, "Well, how do we know you're not working for them?" So he tells them the story. You know, how did this mother box come about? Where was it found? Where did you find it? Well, it wasn't a question of where he found it. It was where his dad found it. And we have a history lesson about this particular mother box. It was actually founded by the Nazis in the Second World War. Then they hid it. Then Silas eventually found it because he could see the properties of the mother box were similar to that of Superman's scout ship, and that's when he used it to save Victor's life. And you know, Victor is telling everybody, you know, he's calling his dad the researcher of Star Labs, and then at the end of the story he then says that researcher was my dad. He did this to me. This is the reason I am like this. And then that's when Barry quips, "Well, hang on, so you're saying that your dad saved your life with this? I thought they were like murderous machines." It's like, no, they're not that. They don't know good or evil, life or death, this, that and the other. And then that's when they start to think, you know, he says how it regenerates, it reinstates. And at this point they're thinking, wait, it reinstates? So this is where they start to think, oh, could we use this? And even Barry saying, "I know we're all thinking it, but who's going to say it? I'm not going to say it." Cyborg just projects an image of Superman, and you'll hear it. And at the same time, this is what makes it even better, at the same time you're hearing the Man of Steel theme coming into play. The Man of Steel theme comes into play, and it plays as the image is being projected of Superman flying, and then you start to think, okay, yeah, they're going to use it. So then we get to part 5, which is All the King's Horses. So this is where we're trying to bring they want to bring Superman back to life. We see Cyborg and Barry both digging into Clark's grave, and the scene that we saw of them doing that back in 2017, well, forget that. What we see here is so much better. So much better. There's no racist joke in this scene. We see Barry, you know, he looks at Clark's headstone and said, "He was my hero. You know, he inspired me." That's what we want to see. That's what we want to hear. You know, and then we cut to Arthur and Diana both talking to each other, an Amazon and an Atlantean working together. Diana can't believe it because she knows the history of the Amazons and the Atlanteans. she knows that history. But Arthur wasn't aware of that history. As far as he's concerned, he hates the Atlanteans just as much as the Amazons do. And this, that, and the other. So they're both having that conversation, and then we come back to Barry and Cyborg. Barry just makes an interesting comment. So Wonder Woman, and that's the other thing. The two Wonder Woman films we have seen, they don't call her by Wonder Woman at all. Zack Snyder's Justice League is the first time that somebody's actually referred to her as Wonder Woman, and that was Barry. So Barry actually refers to Diana as Wonder Woman. So he's just basically saying, "Oh, Wonder Woman, huh? So what do you think? Do you think she's into younger guys?" And then Cyborg's like, "She's 5,000 years old, Barry. Every guy's a younger guy to her." It's like, so true. you can't even escape that fact. Every guy on the planet is a younger guy to Diana. It's that simple. So he's right in that sense. So anyway, so they start working a plan to bring Superman back, and you see the motions that they take into to bring him back. And don't forget, when Batman eventually does recruit Barry Allen, further back in the film, they meet at Gotham. Bruce is saying to Diana, "Where's the cyborg?" She says his name's Victor Stone, because she met Victor, and because there's another part of Ray's performance, because what we saw in 2017, again, forget that. What we're seeing here in Zack Snyder's Justice League is completely different, and it's so much better. Again, I'm going to keep saying that because it is. Cyborg meets Diana in his full cyborg form. He's not wearing his tracksuit or anything. He's in his full cyborg form, and he's saying to Diana about why are you looking for me, this, that, and the other. She explains to him about the war coming, that we need people like him, and you have gifts. He's like, well, if it feels like a gift, you call these gifts, and this, that, and the other, and talks about losing people and all that sort of stuff. Diana talks about the fact that she lost Steve, pushing people away and all that stuff, and just coming to terms. It's just that emotion, coming to terms with overcoming, working by yourself and not being alone. Because even Arthur said the same thing: strongest man is strongest alone. Ever heard that saying? And he said, I fought beside Superman, he died, and Arthur's like, that makes my point. So it's all about wanting to work together, that they are stronger together, that they need to work together, they need to come together and such. And that's why Diana's trying to recruit Victor as well. And so she eventually tells Bruce, look, give him time, eventually it will happen. And we see the bat signal, because at this point we've seen Commissioner Gordon. He's lit up the bat signal as well. He's talking to Crispus Allen, who eventually becomes the Spectre as well. All talks about a vampire with wings, fangs and all sorts, and this, that, and the other. Because obviously, like I say, the parademons have been capturing people at Star Labs and various other places to find the mother boxes as well. So anyway, so I thought I'd cut back to that for a bit, where Barry just excitedly shouts, "Oh my God, it's the bat signal! It's your signal. That means we have to go now." And Serge is like, "Yes, that's exactly what that means." Even when he's being introduced to Diana, she's like, "Hi Barry, I'm Diana." It's like, "Barry, I'm Diana." No, that's not right. So again, like I say, he adds the humour. It's really good. So anyway, part 5, All the King's Horses, trying to bring Superman back to life, and the way that they do it and everything. Barry impersonates a military person, and they've got Superman's coffin in the back of the truck. Cyborg is in the back of the truck as well. He fakes, hacks into the system to give credentials for Barry, and we see Batman come down. We've still got people in Star Labs, so Ryan and Silas are both in there with all the other lab technicians, and then Batman says, "Right, Cyborg, clear the area, get everybody out." He says, "Done," and makes a false alarm for a leak of a biohazard of some sort of alien chemical or something. Ryan buys into it. Silas thinks, no, this is a false alarm. Something like this can't be happening right now. So they're all being evacuated. Silas stays behind because he knows that it's not real. Eventually sees who's come in. He sees Cyborg, he sees Batman, he sees Wonder Woman, he sees the Flash, he sees Aquaman. He's like, radios back saying, okay, no, the alarm is legit. Yeah, make sure nobody comes in. Make sure nobody comes in. This, that, the other. He eventually leaves, but acknowledges to Victor, look, okay, I know what you're up to. I'll leave you to it. And prior to this, back at the tunnel in Stryker's Island, a few things that stood out for me. You've got the battle between Steppenwolf and Wonder Woman, where he's like, hold, she's mine, and she's like, I belong to no one, which is true. Diana does not belong to anybody. We see Flash circling around in super speed to push back Diana's sword into her hand. Prior to that, though, there's a funny moment where the civilians are going up the stairs to get out of the get out from Stryker's Island, and Barry's speeding up. He says, can we move a little quicker? Comes back down to where Silas is like breathing heavily. He's like, are you good? Yeah, don't worry. Circles back down to where Cyber was like, I got this, just go. It's like, okay. So while Steppenwolf and Wonder Woman are still fighting, there's a part of the building that breaks off. Everybody's coming outside. Flash thinks, yes, everybody's safe. But then he sees all the falling rubble, and he does something that I've never seen before happen. He just moves at such quick pace to stop the rubble from dropping on everybody. And you're just thinking, oh my God, how fast is this guy moving? Well, I'll tell you how fast he's moving, because it happens later on where they're about to bring Superman back to life. He can move at the speed of light, can the Flash. Now we know this because obviously we've seen it happen obviously in the comics as well, and on the TV show and other forms like in Justice League as well, Unlimited, on the animated series, that he can move at the speed of light. And he says, because when Cyborg is trying to talk to the scout ship, and the scout ship is telling him, look, you can't be doing this, it's really bad. He sees the mother box as hostile and all that sort of stuff. And Barry is, he's saying that there's not enough charge to wake up the mother box. And Barry's like, okay, look, I can do this. If I can get enough ground and make enough speed, I can move at the speed of light. But I don't like doing this because it does break the rules. It messes with time. And he's not wrong. It does mess with time. Because even before he moves, Cyborg gets a vision. He gets a vision of the future. He sees the entire world has been destroyed. Wonder Woman's been burnt at an altar. She's got coins on her eyes. You can see Queen Hippolyta crying with the Amazons. We see a ship in the background, and I think it's Darkseid emerging from the ship. And he then goes to Atlantis, kills Arthur, uses his Omega beams, which look great by the way, to kill other Atlanteans. And we also see Superman crying, kneeling down in the Batcave. He's holding a charred body, and he's crying, and we see Darkseid walking up behind him, hand on his shoulder as if to say, you're okay, you are now in my command, in that sort of sense. This, that and the other. And we then find out who that charred body belongs to. It is Lois Lane. And so Ray is seeing all of this. And then he's like, suddenly, he's counting down to when Barry's about to start his run. But then he's like, no. And Barry thinks, what, go? And anyway, Barry runs. We see him run. And the music's playing again. It's brilliant. The music's playing. And whilst all this is happening, Lois, because we do see her a couple of times in the film, she's picking up a cup of coffee, going to Superman's monument, where there's a police officer there by the name of Jerry, played by Mark McClure, by the way, Jimmy Olsen from Superman the movie and the subsequent sequels, and also Supergirl as well. So Jerry, as a nod to Jerry Siegel, obviously one of the co-creators of Superman. So it looks like she's been going to the monument on a daily basis. because even at one point at the beginning of the film, you know, it's raining heavily. We see Zack Snyder in the coffee shop that she buys a coffee from, which we've seen from pictures that he has posted on Vero. She's buying the coffee not just for herself but also for Jerry. So she buys 2 cups of coffee, one for him, one for her, and one for Jerry. Gives it to Jerry, and you know, Jerry's like, "Oh, you're here again?" She's like, "Yeah." You know, it's like you never miss a day, do you? She's like, "No." You know, because she's there. But at this point, where they're about to resurrect Superman, she's there, and you know, she gives the coffee to Jerry, and Jerry's like, "Oh, you're here again," and she's like, "Maybe for the last time." So for her, this is going to be the last time that she's going to visit the monument. Well, perfect timing, Lois, because at this point, this is when they're resurrecting Superman, and they bring him back. You know, Flash does his run, places his finger, charges the mother box. Whilst this is happening, time is actually reversing, because we see the mother box. It dips into the liquid pool that Superman's in, that they put Clark Kent's body in, and then we see it sort of reverses, going back out. You know, and it's like, and at that point, Flash touches it, and then it wakes up, and then Superman is back alive. Clark's back alive, and then that then shoots up a pool of water. You then see Lois turn around and she sees him in the sky. The mother box, on the other hand, has thrown itself onto a car not far from where all the Star Lab scientists are all congregated, because you know they've gone out because of the biohazard. But they can see him as well, obviously in the air. They can see Superman in the air as well. And Lois sees him and she's like, "Oh my God, he's alive. He's back alive." Then we see the fight between him and the rest of the members of the League. That all ensues and looks so much better than what we saw in 2017 again. You know, we're not hearing the Superman the movie theme being intertwined in there or anything like that. We just get Tom Holkenborg's music just played out so well. You know, and I want us to talk about the tone and the aesthetic as well, because don't forget, this is done in the IMAX box ratio, the 1:33, you know, the 4:3 sort of format that Zack wanted. But the tone as well, it seems so, it's dark in places, yes, you can tell, but it's so, overall, it's got a lighter aesthetic in that sense. You know, like I say, it's lighter in tone, it's got the humour and all that sort of stuff as well. It's really good. So there's that. But the way that we see the fight unfold between Superman and Cyborg and Aquaman, Wonder Woman and the Flash, is great. It's just wonderful. Again, it's fleshed out really well. And then at the same time, you've got, you know, when Flash speeds, where Superman's holding the other three, all trying to go against him. And obviously we see Superman looking out the corner of his eye. You can see Flash running. You know, it's like, yeah, Flash, he can see you. He can move as fast as you can. And then obviously the fight ensues. You know, he's punching the plaques of everybody's names who perished during the battle of in Man of Steel, and you know, he's breaking it and everything, trying to get hold of Flash and all that sort of stuff. Eventually it comes to real time, and then he's about to unleash his heat vision, but then you know, the armed guards are firing at Superman, so he takes on them. He blows up the Humvees and everything, and Batman comes into the picture. He sees Batman. He's like, "Right, I'm coming for you." But before this happens, Cyborg tries to take on him, fails. He just dispatches Cyborg like he's nothing. Flash and Aquaman are coming in from either side of him. Flash is coming from the front, Aquaman's coming from the back. But when you see it, it's actually quite funny. Superman just sort of, you know, like a matador, just casually moves out the way as Flash runs past him, slams into Aquaman, and then they both fall over in behind him. And then Wonder Woman comes in. She's like, "Don't make me do this." And yeah, it's like knocks him. You know, she tries to use her gauntlets, but he quickly stops her from using it. They headbutt each other, and then he does one massive headbutt where she's in the ground, goes after Batman. Now remember how I mentioned about the gauntlets that Alfred was working on? Well, it works to good effect against heat vision. It really does. So yes, it really does work, because even when it was working in the tunnel for Stryker's Island, you know, Alfred was saying the energy's dissipating, my gauntlets work, yes, and Batman's like, okay, celebrate later, bring the Nightcrawler and all that sort of stuff. Because again, we love the Nightcrawler scene as well. That was pretty good. But yeah, so having to defend himself against Superman, he uses the heat, you know, these gauntlets twice, and at this point Lois comes into play. She comes into the picture, she's like, Clark, and I'm like, now I'm still bothered about the fact that both Lois and Batman are calling Clark in front of civilians. You've got the police officer, you've got a military guard there as well, and Lois just walks between them both shouting Clark, and you're thinking, that's like, no, you shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, and then I'll just let that slide. But yeah, he recognizes her straight away. Superman recognizes Lois straight away, and she comforts him, she hugs him, she said, look, let's go home, and he flies off with her. And when that's finished, Steppenwolf comes and gets the third mother box, but not before Silas does something to the mother box. Now we're thinking he's trying to destroy the mother box. We saw in the trailer he does sacrifice his life. Now we're thinking, oh no, is he going to try and destroy the mother box? Doesn't want Steppenwolf to get it. Well, that's not what he does. He actually heats it to the point of where it can be located. Its heat signature will be off the charts, even more hotter than, say, like a nuclear plant in that sense. So it would be really hot that they can track it. Because Ryan Choi tells Silas that the part of the Superman ship that they got, he hit it with the laser, and it got so hot to the point of where even Silas was like, wow, so it's reached that high. It's like, yeah, and you were right in that this is what it can do, and this, that, and the other, and all that sort of stuff. You're looking at the hottest thing on the planet. I said that to my date, and then to my prom date, and she probably dumped me afterwards. That was Ryan Choi, by the way, saying that. So yeah, so he heats it to the point of where it can be found in terms of thermal scanning. But as he's sacrificing himself, Cyborg sees it all. He sees his father kill himself to stop Steppenwolf from attempting to get the mother box. Steppenwolf gets Cyborg out the way, picks up the mother box, and he's off. The rest of the heroes eventually arrive. They can see Cyborg is laying down, he's slain and everything, and he's looking emotional, he's looking very sad and upset. Barry goes to his rescue and says, what's happened? Oh yeah, my dad, he's dead, I couldn't save him. And Arthur, because Arthur was skeptical, like I say, he's been skeptical about Cyborg. He was also against bringing Superman back to life in some parts. He said, it's our fault, his dad's dead, and I told you we should not have brought Superman back. If we didn't do that, this wouldn't have happened. And like Diana saying, no, it wasn't a bad idea for us to bring Superman back. We need him. Even Bruce said it himself, 5 of us, it's not enough, we need 6, all 6 of us, we can't do this without Superman. Because this is when, during the Change Machine scene, is when they realise that, why did the mother box waken? Why were the mother box woken up? Why is it that when Silas woke up the mother box that gave life to Victor, why didn't that alert Steppenwolf and the Parademons? And why didn't it wake the other mother boxes? Because it was afraid of Superman. Superman's death was what woke the mother boxes. We know that from the beginning of the film, where his cry, his screams, his reverberations, the sound waves is what woke the mother boxes up. So like I say, Arthur's obviously not happy about that, but Batman eventually says, look, Lois is the reason why Superman has calmed down. He's like, what do you mean? She's like, and Diana says, the love of his life, Lois is his love, because that's what stopped him from attacking everybody. Arthur's still skeptical, saying, no, that's not the reason why, because he just did it on instinct. That's the reason why he stopped, and this, that, and the other, and all sorts. And but then we find that, like I say, Cyborg is still upset he's still sad of what's happened with his dad. What we saw in the trailer with him walking towards, and he's crying and everything. He's got a tear strolling down his face and stuff, and It's not because he's being controlled by anybody. No, it is because he's just distraught at the fact that his father's just died in front of his eyes. So you know, it's having to overcome that grief. So he then realizes what his dad had actually done. He realized that his dad actually heated the mother box so that it could be found, and that's when Bruce was saying, okay, right, I can use one of my satellites, I can use my satellite to locate it. And then that's when Barry quips up, you have a satellite? Yes, I've got 6, and this, that, and the other. So yeah. So that's all happened. So Superman's back alive. He takes Lois to the Kent farm, and she says, oh, you brought me back here. He's like, it's home. And she said, oh, you spoke. He said, what, did I not before? As if to say, when I was alive first time round, did I never speak to you at all? But yeah, she was just happy to see him. She got the flannel shirt out for him and everything, and saying how his mum is behind on payments for the farm. That's why it's being sold. And he's like, oh, I don't understand. She's like, well, she's a proud woman, so she's not going to admit her failings and such things like that. And we then see him out in the field, and it's now actually Clark himself. He's now himself. He says, oh, I take that as a yes. And remember the first trailer from 2016. I take that as a yes. And she's like, what do you mean? The ring, because you've got the ring on and everything. And they have a little moment as well. It's just so beautiful to see. And then Martha comes along. Martha arrives at the farm. She's like, oh my God, is it really, really you? He's like, yes, it's really me. And speaking of Martha, Martha did go to see Lois at her apartment, basically telling her that, I went to the Daily Planet to get the rest of Clark's things, as well, and also finding out that you're not working there as well. You've not been at work for a while, and this, that, and the other. And Martha telling her about the house and what's been going on, and they're having this moment and everything. And at the end of the conversation, Martha says, look, you can do me a favor, come back to the living. Come back to the living. Because even Martha was saying how she was distraught, and that it's a burden for her not to be able to talk to someone about Clark. She sees that other people are mourning Superman, but she can't talk to them about him and say, that's my son, this is who he is. The only other person she can talk to is Lois about the whole thing. And you can see that sense, you can feel that in her words and everything. But when she leaves the apartment, and we've known this from seeing pictures and storyboards from Zack, but when she leaves the apartment, to see it actually happen as well is just even better. It's not really Martha. It's Martian Manhunter, played by Harry Lennox. And we know that he has actually been Martian Manhunter the entire time. Like, even in Man of Steel, he is Martian Manhunter. Even in Batman v Superman, he is Martian Manhunter. So, so he transforms, and he looks amazing. The way that he's been designed, the way that he looks, it's just amazing. So he turns into Martian Manhunter, then he turns back into General Swanwick, and just basically said, the world needs you too, Lois. And that's when he walks away. So anyway, so that's basically Martha talking to Lois. So she's at the farm. I'm hoping it's the real Martha anyway. She's at the farm, and he then tells her, look, Ma, they brought me back for a reason. I need to find out why. Even when they were, so when the League were bringing Superman's coffin into the scout ship, it was bringing out all the different outfits out of the compartments of the ship that we see. We see what looks like a female version of Jor-El's sort of armored suit, similar to Fayora's from Man of Steel, but in color, not in black. We see an armored outfit that was used by General Zod and his people when they were scouting the outposts, the colonial outposts, when they had their space explorations way back when. Obviously, we then see the Superman suit, the blue and red Superman suit, and we also see Zod's suit that he wore, his armored suit in Man of Steel as well. And whilst Clark is walking towards, and all these suits are being unveiled, we're hearing voices. We're hearing Jor-El's voice. We're hearing Jonathan Kent's voice talking. You know, you give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. You know, you were sent here for a reason. All that sort of stuff. We're hearing echoes of what was been said in Man of Steel as well. And then he's looking at something that we can't see, which we know is the black suit. He's looking at the black suit. He sees it. The theme is playing again. It's Flight 2.0. It is Flight 2.0. And this is when he eventually, you know, again, you can hear Jor-El and Jonathan's voices both talking, and, you know, you can see the rock formations moving, his cape is flowing. He looks up, you hear Jonathan's voice, "Fly, son, it's time." And then he just takes off, and it's like, oh my goodness. I got quite emotional when that happened. I was just like, Superman is back. And he just flies up to the sky, raises his arms, facing the sun, just taking it all in, and it's like, Superman is back. So that all happens because whilst that is happening, the heroes themselves, they've eventually tracked the third mother box, and they go to face Steppenwolf, and the Flying Fox is flying because Cyborg eventually spoke to it and gave it a software change. And you see Alfred get excited, saying, Master Wayne, there is something you have to see." And then you see the Flying Fox arrive at over the water outside Bruce Wayne's house, and it's just great. And even when Bruce brings everybody to the the Batcave, you can hear Barry getting all excited. "Oh my God, this place looks amazing," and this, that, and the other. And then the best bit of this scene is when Bruce says, "Everybody, this is Alfred. I work for him." When you think about it, it's true. Bruce does work for Alfred. It's not the other way around. So he acknowledges that. I think it's really good that he acknowledges the work that Alfred does, the strength and the lengths that Alfred goes to protect and take care of Bruce. Yeah, it's true. He does work for Alfred. It almost reminded me of Michael Caine's performance as Alfred in the Dark Knight trilogy, especially in Batman Begins, where you've got Bruce lying on the floor after his house has been set on fire by Ra's al Ghul and the League of Shadows, and he's got this log on him, and, you know, Alfred's helping him. He's saying, "What's the point in doing all those push-ups if you can't even lift the bloody log?" You know? So yeah, it just reminded me of that. So yeah, like I say, no, Bruce does work for Alfred in this. So they're all being introduced. Obviously he already knows Diana. You know, Cyborg just sort of walks past him, and you know, you see Barry just sort of like getting all quirky, going, "Hi, I'm here." And then Aquaman just like, Arthur just like, "Looks badass, Alfred." You know, so it's like, and then Alfred's like, I'll go make some tea. Not sure where we're going to find the cups." So he goes off to do that. So this is where they're strategizing. They're trying to figure out their plan, what they're going to do when they encounter Steppenwolf for the second time at the nuclear plant. So Steppenwolf has created a stronghold. He's got the defense set up and everything. You know, and all of that. He's like I say, he's now got all three mother boxes, and you know, he's preparing and getting everything ready for the Unity. So all of that is happening. He's got the dome set up, the stronghold of defense, and everything's all up there for it. So the heroes go to face him. Bruce is saying to Alfred, he's going to show up. He's going to show up, Alfred. I know he will. And he's like, and Alfred's like, well, what makes you say that? He says, "Faith, Alfred, faith," because that's what Batman is now all about. That's what Bruce Wayne's all about now. You know, he's all about the faith, because that's, like I said, that's the promise that he gave Clark on his grave, that, you know, I will turn things around. I will start to see things differently. And it's like he's become a different person now. Bruce is now a different person. Batman is no longer he's still the creature of the night in that sense, but he's no longer the, you know, the menacing, the murdering type. You know, he's like almost branding people and sentencing them to death in that sense, like he did in Batman v Superman. So all of that is happening. And even when he meets Commissioner Gordon on the rooftop of GCPD with Diana and Barry, and then Cyborg shows up as well. You know, again, you can tell that Batman has obviously changed and everything. And then that scene where they all disappeared, when Commissioner Gordon turns around and says, "So do you think?" And it's like Flash is the only one left. He's like, "Oh, wow, they really just vanished. Oh, wow, that's rude." And then he promptly disappears himself. So yeah, it's like I say, Batman is a whole different person now. You know, he's more cool, calm, and calculated, but he's still Batman. He is still Batman to the core. He's just not the rage creature that he was in BVS. He's got a different outset now, a different outlook to how he does things. So yeah, so like I say, you know, they've all arrived at the location, and they mount their attack, and from this point on, this is where the film gets so much better. It just picks up the action, the sequences, the fighting, the collaboration, just everything. Just, this is what Justice League is about. This is how they work. This is how they do things. You see Batman in the Flying Fox. He's trying to take down the tower. He creates a hole in the dome so he can break through to take out the tower, so that the ground team can then attack. Like I say, they figured out the plan of what needs to be done to separate the boxes. Flash has got to create a charge to then allow Victor to go inside the boxes to then be able to separate it. You know, Diana saying that it could use your weaknesses against you and such things like that. There's even one point as well that I picked up, which is quite interesting, where, you know, Diana could see Batman looking at Barry, and she's saying, what's wrong? What are you thinking? He's saying, look, I had a dream, like a premonition. You know, Barry was stood right here, and he was telling me she's the key, you know, as in Lois. And Diana's like, well, she is to Superman, you know, and it could mean something else. But he's thinking, no, it could be something darker, which is the title for part 6. So we are now obviously in part 6. That it's something darker, and he's not wrong. It is something darker. We'll get to that very soon. And he's, you know, I think maybe it's something darker, and trying to figure out what it all means. Anyway, so the plan's been formulated. They've arrived and everything. So they've started mounting their attack. Steppenwolf is greeted by both Aquaman and Cyborg. At this point, Flash is now running around and such. Well, before all of this, it's the fight sequences that happens with the parademons. You've got Batman leading the parademons away from the dome, you know, so that, you know, from where Steppenwolf is holed up, so that the team can attack and do their thing. We then see Wonder Woman taking on parademons, practically slashing them in half and everything. And when Batman's in the Batmobile, I've got to say, the sequence of that, just the way that happens and how it unfolds and how it executes, is wonderful. It's brilliant. It's just so awesome to see. And then you've got Flash doing his thing. You've got Cyborg doing his thing. You've got Aquaman. Aquaman's scenes with the parademons are just amazing. And you can tell it's Aquaman because there's a point of where they all meet together, and just as they're all about to go through a building, they all meet together. You just get the slow motion frame of all 5 of them. Batman in the Batmobile, you've got Wonder Woman flying in with her sword, Aquaman jumping down with his quindent, Flash speeding in as well. It's just like this freeze frame moment, and you're just like, that's the Justice League. This is what they're about. And I'm just like, yes. And then they all go and do their thing. You see Aquaman taking on parademons as well. I mean, the bit where he's taking on them in the air and everything, and it's just, it's beautiful to watch. It really does set you up for the rest of the film. It really does just take you on a wild ride. That's what it does. It takes you on a wild ride, and it's just so euphoric, and it's just so exhilarating to watch as well at the same time. So yeah, so Aquaman's taking on some parademons. You can tell because, you know, the music with the sort of like the metal guitar is playing for him as well and everything. So that's happening. It's just, it's everything that you could have wanted and more. So yeah, and then Wonder Woman. What I love about Wonder Woman is that every time she appears, the music kicks in. You know, there's this female harmonic voice that plays whenever Wonder Woman's coming into the picture, and it's brilliant. So hats off to Tom Holkenborg for that, because her music piece is just wonderful. Like towards the beginning of the film, where she's on the Old Bailey about to apprehend the terrorists. They're about to kill all the school children and all the civilians in there. You know, you can hear that music, and then the Wonder Woman theme itself also kicks in as well. When she's taken on Steppenwolf in the tunnel, same thing there. Steppenwolf with the music kicks in at the same time. Even when they're taken on, I think, does the music kick in when she's taken on Superman? I think as well it does. Then obviously, round 2 with Steppenwolf again, the music kicks in. Where she comes to save Batman on the Batmobile as well, the music kicks in. It's like every moment that she got, the music would just kick in. You're just like, that's Wonder Woman. That's Wonder Woman. That is Wonder Woman just being badass Wonder Woman. It's just fierce warrior princess. Just go for it, girl. Just do your thing. She's just immense. So yeah, the music for Wonder Woman, you can definitely tell when Wonder Woman's on screen when that music plays. So yeah, so there's that. As I say, Ray Fisher, Cyborg, does his thing as well. I remember the scene where he's learning to fly. You know, you see him when he does eventually take off. You see his face. You see Ray Fisher. You can tell Ray Fisher's enjoying this because he smiles. You see that smile, and you're smiling with him to say, "Well done. This is what you were born for. This is all for you. This is what you were made for." And we're so happy that he got his time to shine in the film. But yeah, when he's practicing, when he's learning how to fly, and then you see the armor come across his face, and that's every time he's flying, his face gets fully covered as well. So he's fully sort of evolved in that sense. You know, he's got these extra arms as well that come out from the back as well. He's got obviously his cannons and everything as well. He's fully evolved. You know, Silas is talking to him through the dictator, and this is where, like I say, as I mentioned earlier, where he learns about his gifts, what he can do, and his abilities. You know, Silas is telling him how he can control nuclear arsenal with a thought. He can bend machines to his will. He can hack into anything. No firewall can stop him, and this, that, and the other. It's what he's capable of, and that's why the mother box is so important in the film, because it gives him all those abilities and more. There's so much more that he can do that he hasn't realized yet. But yeah, so he's doing his thing. He does a barrel roll at one point as well, taking on the parademons. Batman, oh my god, even Batman when he takes on the parademons and he does his thing, swinging around, you know, firing the lasers and everything, and fighting the parademons. And then, so Cyborg, as I say, Cyborg and Aquaman, they go up against Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf has now got these blue eyes. So I think that's a result of possibly the boxes uniting together as the unity, and starting to synchronize. And so they both take on him. Wonder Woman joins in the fight. Cyborg's now in place. He's in front of the mother boxes. He's saying to Barry, "I'm in place." Barry's still running around. Say, "Right, we're going to count down to 3. We're going to count down from 3, 2, 1. As soon as Cyborg says 2, he's attacked by Steppenwolf. Wonder Woman comes in, and along with Aquaman to stop Steppenwolf taking on Cyborg. When Cyborg does eventually go back to the boxes, Barry's still running around, and he's being targeted by a parademon. He's running around. You can see in Barry's face, saying, I can't hold this anymore. Victor, come on, what's happening? What's going on? Can I do it now? Can I, what's going on? This, that, and the other. Cyborg merges connects with the mother boxes, and when Steppenwolf is dispatched with both Wonder Woman and Aquaman, he's just about to hack he was just about to hack Cyborg when Superman arrives. Because don't forget, he's already gone to see Alfred. He says, "Oh, I'm assuming you're Alfred," and Alfred's saying, "Oh, Master Kent, he said you would come. Let us hope you're not too late." Well, guess what? He wasn't too late, because he arrives just as Steppenwolf's axe is about to hit Cyborg, and he stands there, and it just stops on his shoulder, and he's like, not impressed. And then the music kicks in, and then he freeze breaths the axe, breaks it, and just goes all out on Steppenwolf. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, when he shows up, I'm like, oh my god, he's here. And you're like, all the emotions just start flooding in, all the feelings come in, and you're like, oh my god, Superman is back. This is Superman. This is a Superman that we have waited for. This is a Superman that Zack has been building up towards. This is the Superman that back in Man of Steel would not have been this confident. He would not have felt this immense sense of, this is what I'm supposed to do. Yes, he's here to do the right thing, but the world was doubting him. He was doubting himself. He wasn't sure if the world trusted him and all that sort of stuff. What was happening with Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. Then when he sacrificed himself, then the world realised that, hang on, oh my god, yes, we really miss him. There's even at one point where even Flash himself says, I really, really miss Superman, when they're just about to take on Steppenwolf under Stryker's Island. He says, yes, I really, really miss Superman, because he understands Superman's importance in the world. Everybody understood Superman's importance in the world. So when he arrives, when he shows up and he takes on Steppenwolf, punching him, using his heat vision and everything, and then Aquaman and Wonder Woman joining, you even see Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. She is smiling when she sees that Superman is there, and she takes on Steppenwolf. You can tell she is happy. She is like, finally, now we can do this. Now we can do this together. Now we can do what we were made to do, what we were brought together to do, because he's back. He's making us better now, and it just, you're like, yes, this is it. This is what we've waited for. So all that's happening. So Superman's attacking Steppenwolf, and he's brutally beaten as Steppenwolf. Then Barry's still going round. He eventually gets shot down by a parademon. Batman takes out the parademon, and Barry's been hurt. So he's saying, "Oh, just got the wind taken out of me. Just need a few seconds to recover." But at this point, because Barry couldn't reach Victor in time to give him the charge that he needs to go to the mother boxes have united. Just before they've united and synchronized, a boom tube appears. So they're all looking. Diana turns round, Arthur turns round, Batman's watching from a distance. He can see what's going on, and then you also see Superman turn around after punching Steppenwolf to a pulp, and they see Darkseid, they see Darkseid, and they see Granny Goodness, and they're all looking at each other, and it's like, okay. And then at this point, the boxes are synchronized, and then it's too late, because then they explode, and then it happens. Flash vibrates. He somehow vibrates himself to the point of where he is not destroyed from the from the explosion. It's like all of existence, everything is just gone. It's like he's the only one left. Like what we're seeing now, I'm not sure if we're inside the Speed Force, if we've transported into the Speed Force with Barry, or if somehow he is vibrating so fast that he has still been able to stay alive in that sense. So even at one point he's like saying, right, okay, I've got to run faster than you've got to run faster than you've ever run before, faster than beyond the speed of light, Barry. You've got to do it. And he starts running, and it's at that point you're watching with him. The music's playing, you're watching with him. He's running, and at the same time he is talking to himself. He's saying, "Dad, you know, if something along the lines I've always wanted to say, just wanted to let you know that I was one of the six, that I was one of the best of the best." And then, you know, he starts saying, make your past, make your future, because that's what his dad was saying to him at the prison, at Iron Heights. He was saying, you know, forget your future, you know, focus on your, forget your past, focus on your future, this, that and the other, everything's all the one, all this sort of stuff that he's saying to himself. And as that's happening, you can see the world around him is starting to come back. The ground is reforming underneath his feet as he's running. Everything's coming back. You see this bright light that he's going towards. It's all coming back, reforming. We even see Superman's body reforming. You know, you can see all the bones and the blood and everything. And then we're seeing Cyborg re-emerging. He's reforming as well, to the point of when Barry touches him, and then we're inside we're going to Cyborg's mind. We're going to the mother box. We're inside, and now we can see Victor. And then he turns around and he sees his parents with himself. So all three of them, you know, his mother saying, "Oh, my broken boy, you know, we can make you whole again. You don't have to be alone," as Silas says, you know, we can be together. And even himself is saying, you know, yeah, we can be whole again. You know, you don't have to be alone, this, that and the other, just reiterating all that sort of stuff. And then we see it change as they're circling around behind the three of them. We go from Victor Stone to Cyborg. And then Cyborg is just standing in front of the three of them saying, "I'm not broken." And then he reaches in. And then you see them all sort of merge together, and they're changing, switching, changing, and emerging into these three sort of witches, as I would like to say. And then he finishes his quote to say, "And I'm not alone." And then starts to separate. As he starts to separate the boxes, you can see the background, you can see Superman, you can see the mother box, you can see Wonder Woman, you can see the boom tube, you can see Superman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman. And then he calls out to Superman helps him separate the boxes. That stops the unity. Finally that's over. And then Steppenwolf is looking and he's like, "Oh my god, no, they didn't, you know." So gets stabbed by Aquaman, lifts him up, Superman punches him, Wonder Woman does her move, the cry again, the musical cry comes out, and she chops Steppenwolf's head off his body. His body and his head goes into Apocalypse, goes to the feet, the head goes to the feet of Darkseid, and he just tramples on it. And then they just look at each other, the League and the New Gods facing off, just looking. And then it closes. And then we stay on Apocalypse. Darkseid to Darkseid. "You see, I told you Steppenwolf would fail." Darkseid's just agreed and say, "Yes, you did." And he's like, "Well, what are you going to do now that the mother boxes have been destroyed?" "Well, the anti-life has been found, and I will do what it takes to get my prize. Ready the Armada. We're going to do this the old way." So all three of them, both Darkseid, followed by Darkseid and followed by Granny Goodness, walking off. You can see all the parademons and everything, and just what we see of Apocalypse just looks fantastic. It just looks so menacing, and oh goodness me, just brilliant. So that happens. Batman's climbing out of the nuclear plant. He's picked up by Superman, and then you see all six of them. They're all standing there. Barry and Cyborg fist bump, you know, and we go from each through just watching each hero one at a time, starting off with Cyborg, Flash, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. Camera turns around, Flying Fox arrives as well, obviously, and then we see all six of them, and then they're just standing there, and then it closes, and then we're at the epilogue. So at the epilogue, Ray Fisher's Cyborg, he's back at the flat, and the dictator that he was listening to before, because he was listening to Silas, you know, Silas was talking to him as a scientist, and he said, "Well, now let me talk to you as a father." Well, at that point he breaks it. He's like, "Well, I don't want to listen anymore." Well, he comes back to it, he reforms it, puts it back together, and then listens to it. And he says, right, now let me talk to you as a father. As a father twice over. That's what it says under the epilogue, a father twice over. Because it's true, he is the father twice over, because obviously he was killed in the car accident that also took his mother's life, and then was brought back. He said, I brought you into this world and I brought you back again. And if you remember from 2017, we were hearing Amy Adams, Lois Lane talk over at the end of the film. Well, this time it's actually Silas Stone. So Joe Morton's Silas Stone is talking over from the dictator that Cyborg is listening to. And then we're seeing various montages of our heroes. We see Barry, we see Superman, you know, opening his shirt. We see Aquaman, he's saying goodbye to Volko, and Mira, he's saying, I've got to go and see my dad. And again, that takes us, obviously, that will lead us into Aquaman, the film itself. So that's happening with him. We see Bruce Wayne. Actually, do we see what capacity do we even see Bruce Wayne? I'm trying to remember, because like I say, we do see Bruce Wayne. We see heroes and what they're doing. Yes, that's it. So we see Bruce Wayne with Alfred and Diana back at Wayne Manor. So, you know, they open the big hall, and he says, you know, it's about 150 feet, you know, a table, 6 chairs with room for more, as said by Diana. So they're going to look to make their Hall of Justice as well. And then as well, like I say, we obviously see Flash running. You know, he does his little dance where he's just so happy running through Central City. And as I say, we also see Superman. You know, we see Clark looks up at the sky, then thinks, right, okay, glasses off, run, shirt open as well. And then obviously Bruce Wayne rather, we see Bruce and Clark at the Kent farm, and it's like, oh, thanks for doing this, you know. He said, look, I just need to undo some mistakes. And he said, well, how did you get the house back from the bank? He said, well, I bought the bank. So we remember that particular quote as well. So yeah, and just the way that ends is just so wonderful. It's really good, and obviously he congratulates Clark on his engagement to Lois. And at which point as well, I also remember, don't forget, in the film, we see a pregnancy test in Lois's drawer as well. She opens a drawer, she takes out her press pass, and we see the pregnancy test in there. So, and was that before Martha arrives, or before Martian Manhunter visits her even? Yeah. So yeah, we see that, because she's even looking at Superman's torn cape. She sees the cape, it's torn, you know, from the fight with Doomsday. So she's obviously reminiscing about that as well. But yeah, we don't see Perry White, we don't see Jenny, so we don't see any other people from the Daily Planet in the film at all. But like I say, the way that it ends, the end scenes now, I've got to talk about these because they were just brilliant. Now, what you've got to remember is the way that this film was done. So Zack had already filmed pretty much everything. He pretty much had filmed everything. Just about everything. The only thing that was left to do was all the VFX shots and other bits and pieces as well. The only extra thing that he shot was the nightmare scene, and I think the scene at the end with Ben Affleck and Harry Lennox. Because you can tell when you look at Ben Affleck, he looks so much different. He looks so different as well. There's parts of it where you look at him and you're thinking, well, he looks a bit like George Clooney. There is a part where he does look a bit like him, I have to say. But anyway, so the nightmare scene was the scene that Zack had shot last year, and then everything else is pretty much what he already shot as well. So we get the extra scenes. So, like I say, when the film was originally done, what we should have had was maybe 1 or 2 extra like end credit scenes. And when you're watching this film, the scenes that we see after the main film is finished, they do line up as extra end credit scenes. The first one being the meeting between Lex Luthor and Deathstroke, because before that we go to Arkham, where we see the guard opens up all the doors so that the inmates and the patients can come out, and they go and do their whatever their activities or their therapies and such. But there's one person still left, and in a straitjacket, staring at a TV, watching static. Not Static Shock, just literally static. Sorry. The guard's like saying, "Come on, Luther, time for you to get out," and he still hasn't moved. So he walks to the prisoner and say, "Get out." Turns him around. Well, it's not Lex, is it? So we don't know where Lex is. Then we see a boat. We see Deathstroke in the boat approaching a bigger yacht to meet Lex Luthor, and this is the scene that we should have seen from 2017. This is the scene that would have set up both sequel to Justice League as well as a Deathstroke movie as well, because Slade Wilson is Lex is saying, "Oh, so, when you said you would work for free to go after Batman, why the pro bono?" And Slade is saying it's personal. And he's like, "Oh, okay, right, fair enough." He said, you best not be wasting my time." And so Lex gives him a nice little nudge to go after Batman, and he tells him that Batman is Bruce Wayne, and Slade is like, "Okay, on second thoughts," because at first he offers him champagne, and he's like, "Look, I haven't got time for this. Just get on with what you were going to say." And he's like, "You know what? On second thoughts, let's celebrate." So there's nothing. So even in 2017, at the end of that credit scene where Lex is saying, "Oh, I'd like to talk about a league of our own," and this, that, and the other, you think, okay, that's going to set up a sequel to Justice League, but that wasn't the intention. That scene was not meant to be the scene. What we got in Zack Snyder's Justice League, that's the scene. That's the scene that was going to set up Deathstroke's film, okay, to give Deathstroke a clue about Batman, and it's a massive clue. It's not just a clue that, oh, well, this is what Batman's about and this is his weakness. No, Batman is Bruce Wayne. There you go. Off you go. Go and do your thing. That would have led us into both probably the Batman film itself and maybe even a Deathstroke film as well. So anyway, not going to delve too much into it as well. But like I say, so there's that scene, okay? Then we get the nightmare scene, the new nightmare scene. We're in the future. We're like several years into the future. We see parademons, scout parademon looking around and everything. We see what looks like a torn, decimated, deserted, and a post-apocalyptic Gotham / Metropolis. And we see Batman emerge from hiding behind a car, and he says it's clear. Then we see Nightmare Cyborg. We also see Nightmare Mirror, and we also see Nightmare Deathstroke and Nightmare Flash. So they're all there, and they've got a plan, and they're about to make their move. And Mira's saying, "Let me take him. Let the bastard come. Let him come." And they're talking about Superman, obviously, because at this point Superman is under Darkseid's control. He's been taken in by the anti-life equation. He is under Darkseid's will. So Amber Heard returned. We then see, obviously, like I say, Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke as well, with the mohawk. It just looks absolutely epic. We see Flash in his armor, helmet. His face opens up. Cyborg has got a big, massive robe around him. Mira's got her Aquaman's trident and what looks like a rifle on her back as well. And obviously you've got Batman with his trench coat and his gun, and then we hear a laugh in the background. You're thinking, oh, there he is. Now the line that he said in the trailer, he doesn't say it in the film, so we don't actually hear him say in the film, "We live in a society where honour is a distant memory." I think that was just for the trailer and the trailer only, which is fine. But then he has a conversation, talks to him, because Mira is saying to Batman, "What do you know about love? What do you know about it? Because I've lost Arthur because of what Superman did to him." So you start to understand the hurt and the anger that Mira is feeling against Superman, you know, Batman say, look, I do understand. It's like, well, what do you know about love? And then that's when Joker comes in and he's like, well, au contraire, my fish stick. Oh no, he does know a thing about love, you know, like a mother, a father, and, you know, Batman saying, be careful what you say next. Like an adopted child, and then they have this conversation. There's even a talk about how Batman is happy for other people to sacrifice their lives, but he's not sacrificing himself. You know, when he's watching people die, you know, why is it he doesn't have the cojones to do it himself? And trying to undo what's happened here in terms of you know, by letting her die. Poor Lois, how she suffered so. So he's obviously, again, it's all about Lois. She is the key. And Batman even says, you know, look, when you talk about people dying in your arms and in arms and such, you know, I was there watching Harley Quinn. So Harley Quinn's obviously dead. You know, Harley Quinn dying with the last breath. She told me that when I kill you, and make no mistake, I will fucking kill you. You know, this, that, and the other. It was saying something else. I've completely forgotten what else he said. But it sort of tricks Joker in some sense, you know, because he pulls out the card to say, here's a truce. Take the card and we'll work together. Tear it in half, and then I'll tell you the story as to why you sent a boy wonder to do a man's job. So there, again, there's even that connection to Dick Grayson. Why was he sent to go after the Joker? It is Dick Grayson. It's not Jason Todd. That's Robin in the DCEU in Zack Snyder's Justice League, Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. So there's that conversation going on between them, and then after they've had the conversation, even Deathstroke is saying, you know, was it really a good idea to bring him along? He's like, well, what do you think? You know, we need him, this, that, and the other. And then Cyborg gets a ping. Superman has found them. And then they all prepare, they all get ready. Joker's just standing there laughing, just thinking, oh, well, we're fucked anyway, so what does it matter? And then Superman arrives, and then you see him, red eyes and everything. And then Bruce Wayne wakes up in his bed. So it's like, oh my God, another dream, Bruce, another dream, another premonition. And then he hears a sonic boom, and he thinks, okay, let me get out, let's see who this is. And it's Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter has come. Now, Bruce, obviously he knows about aliens and everything. He's fought parademons, he's seen Darkseid. He doesn't even flinch when he sees Martian Manhunter. He's like, okay, how can I help you? What can I do for you? And then obviously Jean-Jeans, as we know him, is telling him, you know, Darkseid's going to be back for the anti-life equation. You know, there's a war coming, so we need to be prepared and all that sort of stuff. And he said, well, who are you? He said, I've been known by many names, gone by many forms. However, I do believe I have a stake in this world, so I feel like I need to do my part. Bruce is like, well, we could use all the help that we can. And as he's about to fly off, he says, oh, I'm known as the Martian Manhunter. And then as he flies off, the Crew at War Power theme kicks in, and I've just got the biggest smile on my face when it happens, because you're like, and I've watched this 3 times, but every time that theme kicks in with Martian Manhunter flying off, I'm just like, euphoria, just excitement and exhilaration, just an emotion just comes right over me, and I'm just like, oh my God. That cliffhanger, that's what Zack was talking about. That cliffhanger there, you can't end it there. The nightmare scene, you can't end it there. The scene with Deathstroke and Lex Luthor, you can't end that there either. We need the sequels. We need the spin-offs. We need to restore the Snyderverse. Simple as that. And I have seen tweets upon tweets upon tweets from a lot of people asking about it. But I've even seen celebrities. Now, those of you who watch Lucifer, that's now on Netflix, you will know D.B. Woodside, who plays Amenadiel Firstborn. He watched the Snyder Cut, and he was so excited about it. He tweeted, he said, I started Snyder Cut last night and finished earlier today. I have one comment and many questions. My comment, I loved every single minute of it. Every minute. I watched it in chapters. because, like I say, they are in chapters. Now, if you think about it, if you count all the chapters, there's the prologue, parts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then there's the epilogue. So there's 8 in total. If you break them down, they're somewhere between half an hour to 45 minutes. So you could easily watch them in like episodic parts. Because don't forget, Zack did say he was going to do it in 4 1-hour episodic parts. But I think it probably would have worked best in parts. That's why, in those chapters. So you could have watched the prologue. That's about half an hour. Part 1 is about 40 minutes, I think. Then, each one's somewhere between 30 minutes to 45 minutes in that sense. So you could easily watch them in parts. So, yeah. So he's like you said, I watched it in chapters. For me, it's how the DC movies should be shot. Darker, grittier, more lyrical than Marvel. That's DB Woodside. Okay. Then his next tweet, he says, first question, why does Ray Fisher not have his own goddamn Cyborg movie? And that storyline blew me away. This brother needs his own movie. He's not wrong. He is not wrong at all. He even tweeted to Ray Fisher quote tweeted to DB because he did say that we should work together because DB Woodside is starting to get into directing, and he said, you know what, I've got some plans, we should work together. And Ray was like, yes, would love to do that, would love to work with you someday. He says it here, so I'm looking at his tweets. So second question, who was the person that made the decision to cut his storyline in the film that was released? Ray Fisher. That person should pick a different profession because they slept on a star. Final comment, Ray Fisher, I'm moving quickly into directing. Let me know what you want to do. We need to work together. Fist bump. He is not wrong. DB Woodside is not wrong. He's spot on. Ray Fisher was the star of this film. He was the breakout star of the film. This was supposed to be his breakout role. So yeah, he's right. Who was the person that made the decision to cut his storyline in the film that was released? That person should pick a different profession because they slept on a star. And there are a number of people in that area that he's talking about. Jeff Johns being the main one. Joss Whedon and John Berg. Those three right there. Jeff Johns does have a different profession. He's a comic book writer. That's what he's gone back to do. That's what he is, and that's how he should stay. He is a comic book writer. He is not fit to be a movie producer in any way, shape or form, because he doesn't know movies like Deborah Snyder does, like Christopher Nolan does, like Emma Thomas, like Zack Snyder does. He doesn't know movies, like Charles Roven, the producer as well. No, it's right. DB is right. You cannot have that happen to Ray Fisher. His performance was stellar, brilliant, but everybody's performances were amazing. Everybody's performances. The film was just absolutely amazing. Now, you heard me say the F-bomb with Batman. Well, the film was rated R because of language and violence. Now, there's actually, let me see if I count it in my head, there's probably 4 F-bombs in the film. 2 of them pretty much happen at the beginning of the film with the terrorists, and Ray Fisher, Cyborg, says the F word, yes, when he's met up with Diana for the first time. Can't remember what is it he says. Was it fuck the world or fuck something? Well, he says the F-bomb anyway. And then obviously Batman also drops the F-bomb. So remember when all this was happening, when they said, oh, this is the rating for Justice League, and everybody was, all the blue check marks and all the bloggers and the critics and the gatekeepers were like, oh no, Justice League is R-rated, that means my children can't watch. Oh, Batman says the F word. Well, we find out that Batman isn't the only one that says the F word. A few other people say the F word as well. Not just Batman. But guess what? You can watch this with your kids, providing that you let them know that when those words come up, I'm going to cover your ears, baby. So watch it first for yourself. know where the F-bombs come in, then when they do, just cover the kids' ears, okay? Or just tell them, children, cover your ears. Because you can watch it with children. I think you can watch it, you're supervising, you watch with the kids. You know, if they're over 10 years old, fine. If they're younger than that, then, you know, be cautious, I would say. But I think it's perfectly fine to watch with kids. It feels more like a PG-13 at times. Yes, there's more than one F-bomb, but you kind of forget when you do hear an F-bomb appear. You're like, oh right, okay, I forgot it was a rated R. Yes, you see Steppenwolf cutting down Atlanteans, and he does hack Atlanteans at one point in the film, does Steppenwolf, and the Amazons as well. But I wouldn't go as far as saying it's R-rated in that sense. You know, like you've seen with like Deadpool, for example, or you know, other films that have been labelled R-rated that have a lot more blood and guts and stuff being shown. Definitely, you know, Batman doesn't. Zack Snyder's Justice League doesn't do all that. It does, yes, it has the F-bombs, but I wouldn't put it as an R rating. In the UK, it probably would be a 15. You know, if we're gonna, if for us, an R rating film for you guys, something like Zack Snyder's Justice League will probably be a 15. It wouldn't be an 18. You wouldn't rate it an 18. They might even rate it 12A. 12A would give you one F-bomb in that sense, but I think 15 would be justified in terms of rating. So that's so there's that. So I want to talk also about the music again. Like I say, I've not listened to the entire score just yet. I know that came out yesterday. That got made available yesterday. I have got it. I just haven't yet listened to it. It is 4 hours of epicness. I know it's 54 tracks long, so I am looking forward to listening to it eventually. Yeah, the music. So the end credits, the music for that, Hallelujah, by Alison Krauss, for Autumn, because as soon as the film finishes, you see the words "For Autumn" displayed on the screen, and then the piano intro kicks in, and then you just hear Alison's voice as well, and her voice, it just carries you, just listening to it, and the way that she just unleashes the verses, the words, the chorus, the just the harmony of it, and you can feel the sadness, but also just the drive, just the emotion. You can feel it. You can tell that this song was for Autumn. You can easily feel it, that it was made for her, that it was meant for her. It's a dedication to her. It's a tribute to Autumn. And even when we go down further in the credits, you see there's a section in the credits that says this film is dedicated to the fans. A special thanks to the fans who you know this film was made for. And then further down we get some more thanks, some for comic book creators. Gail Simone's in there, Jim Lee, Marv Wolfman, George Perez, Nicholas Scott, you know, Grant Morrison. These are the main names in there. There are two names in there that I wasn't comfortable with. I'm not going to mention who they are. I think you can gather who they are. They both worked on Flash Rebirth, and we know what one of them's obviously done in terms of what they did to Ray Fisher and the Justice League reshoots. The other one has become a gatekeeper of sorts. So yeah, I'm not going to mention their names, but if you've seen the thanks for them, they're in there. But yeah, so like I say, you know, we've got Easter eggs in this film. There's actually a website that DC Comics have brought up with all the relevant Easter eggs in the film. Some of them might be slightly far-fetched, like the Linda J. Reid one, the struggling waitress that Cyborg helps and increases her bank balance to give her a better life. But there's all various ones. I mentioned Crispus Allen. I mentioned obviously Gardner Fox as well. For me, like I say, the Starro the Conqueror one, I think, is another one. The device that Steppenwolf uses to get people to project the location of where the mother boxes are that they've been in contact with. That I think is a nod to the mother boxes. Apparently, there's the scene with Iris West and her car accident. The hot dog cart actually has the name Granny Goodness on it. I'm going to have a look at that again next time I watch it again. So that'll be interesting to see that. But there are various other ones in there as well. So I'll put the link in so you can have a look at that. And the end, yeah, I want to mention again the end, the epilogue. So I did forget to mention, obviously, that the epilogue, what we also saw in it was Batman standing on top of his war machine. You know, the big tank that is featured in Dark Knight Returns. Well, we see it in its full glory in the epilogue, and he's standing on top of it, and he's actually captured some criminals. So as the camera pans further out, he's captured some criminals as well. So he's obviously been busy fighting crime as per, and yeah, it's just absolutely fantastic seeing the big war machine. It's a massive vehicle. It's absolutely massive. But yeah, no, like I say, the film was just stupendous. It was everything we expected it to be and more. I just cannot get past everything that we have seen. Barry Allen going back to Iron Heights to let his dad know that he's got himself a job as well, a job. It's a foot into the door for the for the becoming a crime scene investigator, you know, forensic scientist. I mentioned obviously earlier about Aquaman saying bye to both Volko and Mira to go and see his father, which obviously sets us up for Aquaman itself. Ryan Choi is now head of Star Labs of nanotechnology, because we know what that's all about as well. So we've got to see him in some form, in some capacity as well. Hopefully we'll see him. As I mentioned earlier, Bruce Wayne and Alfred and Diana approach at the Wayne Manor, talking about setting up a new Hall of Justice as well. Yeah, just goodness me, Clark getting his house back for Martha. And Cyborg as well. I forgot to mention. You know, he goes back to his to the grave. You know, the stone grave. You've got Dr. Silas, Dr. Eleanor, and of course Victor Stone as well. And then he just takes off. He embraces now who he is. He is Cyborg. And then he just takes off. Commissioner Gordon turning on the Batmobile, and that's where obviously the bat signal, which is where we then see the camera pan to Batman in his on top of his war machine as well. Oh goodness me, there's just so much that this film has opened for us to enjoy. We even see Diana Prince in black holding the arrow of Artemis. I think she must have gone back to get it, because don't forget, when Hippolyta fires the arrow the first time round, she says, "Come home to me, Diana. Come, return to me, Diana." And I think that's what she's looking, thinking, should I go home? Should I go back home? And obviously I've mentioned Flash running through Central City, smiling and being happy. God, this is everything. This is just everything. And then obviously Clark, and then he opens his shirt, and then, yeah, oh goodness me, all the heroes doing hero things. And then the nightmare sequence as well. Yes, as I'm talking to you, I am just flicking through towards the end of the film here. But my goodness. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Batman, Bruce Wayne talking to Martian Manhunter as well. Oh, goodness me. Just everything about it was just, beautiful. Beautiful. Just, amazing. So I'm going to finish off soon, because I know I have been talking for quite some time. Oh my God, wow. Nearly 2 hours and 40 minutes I've been going on. So if you're still watching, well done. And if you're still listening on the podcast, again, well done. I knew this was going to be a long review, but I wasn't expecting it to be this long. But like I say, so much to cover, so much to talk about. You know, the music Tom Holkenborg delivered. He actually redid everything, because when he was first, fired back in 2017. He decided that when he came back to the project, he decided, I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to start everything from scratch. So we get a new theme for Batman. Someone even asked him, why did you change Batman's theme? He said, well, it was more of a where is it? I did have his here. A question asked by many: why did you do a new Batman theme? The book was closed on the tormented past in BVS. Here there is a new day, new music. So there you go. And he even says it. He says, this score has been my personal Mount Everest. The length, the making in isolation, obviously during the pandemic, the redo. What a journey that comes to a satisfying end tonight. Thank you. So that's his appreciation for the fans, for allowing him, for giving him that chance to do the music, and for the fact that Zack Snyder wanted him back to finish the project and do the music. Like I say, started from scratch, new theme for Batman. When you hear it, it's more uplifting. In fact, a lot of the music that you hear is definitely of a more uplifting nature, and that's what this film is about. It's about the uplifting. It's about bringing these characters together and showing the world that this world can be defended, not just by Superman, because yes, Superman is back, but now we've got these heroes as well. We've got Batman, we've got Wonder Woman, we've got Cyborg, we've got the Flash, we've got Aquaman, we've got Martian Manhunter. The world is now ready to face any impending attack, be it Earth or alien. They are there now. They are around. So, and it lifts you up. It gives you that sense of hope. Superman returning in the way that he did. That is Superman. That is our Superman. We need Henry Cavill to do another solo outing, and soon. We have been screaming for it. We have been crying for it. Warner Brothers have been teasing us and such, but still nothing has happened. We need a new Henry Cavill Superman film. Black Adam is going to start shooting next month, and we know Dwayne Johnson wants Henry Cavill Superman to appear in some form, because they've teased it up. They have talked about Superman and Black Adam going toe to toe. It needs to happen. So please, Warner Media, HBO Max, Jason Kylar, and Warner Brothers, look at what Zack Snyder's Justice League has done. Look at the response. Look at the ratings. Now, I don't normally look at Rotten Tomatoes ratings, but let me show you what Justice League has gotten. Okay? Zack Snyder's Justice League has gotten, right now as I'm talking to you, its tomato meter score after 191 critical reviews, that's critics reviews, 75%. The audience score after 10,000 plus ratings is at 97%. Now, in contrast, the 2017 version of Justice League, after 400 critical reviews, got 40%, and the audience score after 100,000 was at 71%. So the audience score was higher than the tomato meter, but Zack Snyder's Justice League has just gone off the charts in that sense, especially with the audience score. I'm even reading one of them now. Like, there's one review here, critics consensus, Zack Snyder's Justice League lives up to its title with a sprawling cut that expands to fit the director's vision and should satisfy the fans who willed it into existence. To fit the director's vision. This was all about Zack Snyder's vision. Not what the studio wanted, not what the studio thinks the audience wanted. Because what this film proves is that it's not about the studios and what they think is best for the audience. No, this is about what the audience wants, what the fans want. This film is going to change things. I'm hoping it will change precedents. I'm hoping it will change things. I'm hoping it will change the way studios start to approach filmmaking. That when you bring a director on board to do a film, especially a superhero comic book film, that you let them unleash their creativity. If you're going to do what Marvel's doing, the MCU, and you're going to bring in directors to follow a narrative, still allow them to input their creativity. We saw what happened with Edgar Wright and Ant-Man. We saw what happened with Patty Jenkins in the second Thor movie. We saw what happened with oh god, it was just on the tip of my tongue, Scott Derrickson and the Doctor Strange sequel. You know, there are directors out there that want to put their stamp on things. You look at directors like Steven Spielberg, Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola. They were all able, Stanley Kubrick, all of them were able to put their stamp on their films. You can tell their films just by watching it without even knowing what you're watching. If you're watching The Godfather, you'll know you're watching The Godfather. If you're watching Goodfellas, you know you're watching The Goodfellas. If you're watching Raging Bull, you know you're watching Raging Bull. If you're watching Schindler's List, you know you're watching Schindler's List. You just have to look at how they make their films. And then somebody like Zack Snyder comes along. He puts his stamp on the films, and you know it's Zack Snyder. But when it comes to DC characters, people often say, he doesn't know the characters, he doesn't understand them, he portrays them as this, this and this. No, he understands them more than you think. He gives them layers. He gives them meaning. He knows that the DC characters are all about mythology. We can look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe and we can say, oh my god, Marvel have done such a great job. And they have. And I love what Marvel have done. Marvel are all about the lighter tone, all about the humanizing of the characters, because that's what most of them are. They are humans who happen to gain special abilities. Whereas DC characters, they are from mythological, you know, from legends, Greek gods, you know. Could talk about in some cases of Jesus as well, with Superman in some sense, you know. But Superman is seen as Zeus, Batman is seen as Hades, Wonder Woman would be seen as Athena or Hera, Flash, Hermes, Aquaman, Poseidon, you know. All of that sort of stuff. They are gods among men. That's how we see our DC characters, and that's why Zack uses the mythological sense, the mythological storytelling of these characters, because they are very uniquely, how should I put it? Oh, I can't remember the word for it. But they are of a sense of where, you know, they are not just regular human beings, but they still have a human side. Superman himself is the most human among us. He's been brought up by Jonathan and Martha Kent to have these human morals, to understand what it's like to be human. Batman has often said how Superman is the most human of all of us, despite being an alien, despite having heat vision. You know, if you read Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, that graphic novel, that's where that quote comes from. That you often forget that he is a being of immense power. The dichotomy of the fact that he is this being of immense power, but he's still the most human of all of us. That's what makes him Superman. That, and his return in this film, is just proof that we need more of Henry Cavill's Superman. We need more. We need more of all of them. I want Cyborg solo film. I can't wait for the Flash solo movie as well. We need more. I want to see a spin-off of the Batman. I want to see Ben Affleck's Batman facing off against Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke. I want to see Justice Leagues 2 and 3. I want to see... Somebody even mentioned about a spin-off for Martian Manhunter as well, to showcase his decades spent on Earth. Yes, I would love that as well. I want all of that. I want more, because this film has made us hungry for more. And as I'm talking to you, I'm seeing tweets from Ray Fisher, for example. You know, he just tweeted earlier thanking both Chris Terrio and Zack Snyder. That is all. You know, so many people tweeting their enjoyment, their euphoria, their excitement, their happiness, their overall come-togetherness that this film has finally seen the light of day. This is what they fought for. This is what the release of Snyder Cut movement fought for. Fiona Zhang and is it Dustin Washington, I believe is his name, as well. Then you've got the Nerd Queens, Nana and Cole. You've got Wonder Meg. You've even got Scott McClellan of DC Filmcast, and also Tim Yoko as well. You know, a lot of these people, they have fought, they have united, they have come together, all these fans. And you can find out more, if you haven't got it yet, buy this book. The Release the Snyder Cut, the crazy story behind the fight that saves Zack Snyder's Justice League by Sean O'Connell. This book will give you an insight into everything that happened behind the scenes, how the fans got together, how the hashtag was born, Release the Snyder Cut, who's Fiona Zhang, who are the main players that allowed this film to see the light of day. What was Zack's involvement? How did Zack get involved? What was his take? What was his input? You know, because when he showed us the first poster back in May 2020, the day before my 40th birthday as well, 20th of May, my birthday's on the 21st of May, when he showed us that Zack Snyder's Justice League was coming in 2021, and we all just went nuts. And Sean O'Connell decided he was going to write a book about it, and he did. And I think he's going to do a follow-up. I think it's going to be called, it's going to be called Restore the Snyderverse or something along those lines. But it looks like there's going to be a lot more controversy involved in that one. There's a bit of controversy in this book, but I think there's going to be a lot more controversy in that follow-up if and when Sean does get that published. I'm hoping he does. I'm hoping he does get it published. So, to finish off, before I go, because I know I need to finish now, because we're approaching the 3-hour mark now. I just want to say thank you to Zack and to Deborah and Christopher Nolan as well, because Christopher was also wanting this film to be released. He wanted this version released as well. I've seen other directors thanking Zack. The Russo brothers have thanked Zack. Matt Reeves, who's doing the Batman, he's thanked Zack as well, which has just finished filming. They wrapped filming last week. He's also thanked Zack. Ryan Reynolds was he did the funniest thing of all. He was drinking his aviation gin. It's a green gin that he has developed, that he has been doing with his friend Rob Mulhaney, I think it is, and he decided to watch the Green Lantern movie that he starred in, and he was tweeting about it. He was live tweeting it as well. Taika Waititi got involved at one point. He even tweeted, mentioned Blake Lively being in the film, talking about Angela Bassett being awesome and everything. So yeah, he decided to watch Green Lantern, and he was jokingly said that he would love to see a Snyder cut of Green Lantern at some point as well. He was just being so comical. It was just Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds. He posted a video of him saying, "Beware my power." He's pouring his gin in and everything. It's just absolutely incredible. He was just, like I say, he was live tweeting the entire thing, and it was just so funny just to see it. It was just absolutely hilarious. So his first tweet was, "Excited to see the Snyder Cut. But ahead of its debut, and with the aid of a good amount of aviation gin, tonight at 6 p.m. EST, I'll do something I've never done: actually watch Green Lantern. Happy St. Patrick's Day. So that was Ryan Reynolds. Marv Wolfman, the guy who gave us Cyborg, he also thanked Zack Snyder as well. So all these big names, all these comic book giants. Gail Simone, she's done a thread thanking Zack Snyder for the Snyder Cut, for that being released. You know, Ray Fisher even tweeted here yesterday, said, as a black man that grew up with an absent father, Cyborg's story has always hit differently for me. Family and reconciliation are some of my biggest takeaways from Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's not just comic book movie, it's a study of the human condition. And that is so true. It is a study of the human condition. It's about how us as humans, how we reconcile with things that have happened to us in our past, whether it's from childhood or later on in our adult life. How do we overcome all these obstacles? You know, you look at Victor, the obstacle that he overcame, his father not attending these football matches, his mother covering for his father as well, losing his mother as well in a car accident, then being turned into this machine that his father said that he was not going to let him die. He decided to save his life, and he was still not happy about that. But yes, now he's got these gifts, now he can do something about them. He can use them for good. You know, he's reconciled. I mean, he even saved his father in the film. He did. And at one point, you know, Silas was saying, thank you, I wasn't sure if you would come. He said, well, you're my father. There you go. So, you know, and stuff like that, you know, it does hit people, you know, and disability as well, because Cyborg is disabled. You know, Victor Stone, he's got a disability. You know, he's not a full human. He doesn't have all his limbs. You know, he is now a disabled person, but he's got superpowers. He's got abilities now, and he's using that for good. And that's what it's about. You know, like you said, the human condition. Matt Reeves, as I said, you know, he tweeted, what a long, painful, epic journey to this day, my friend, but you did it. So happy your vision is finally being shared with the world, Zack Snyder. Can't wait to see Zack Snyder's Justice League. Marv Wolfman, I really love the Snyder Cut, and your Cyborg was truly the heart and the soul of the movie. Thank you. Marv Wolfman, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. The creator of Cyborg. Yeah. So, and the Russo brothers, as I said, from two superhero junkies to another, so excited that your vision has been truly realised. Much respect. We'll be watching along with everyone else. At Zack Snyder, hashtag Snyder Cut. So, yeah, just, like I said, I think now that it's out, everybody can now enjoy it. Zack Snyder even quote tweeted Ryan Reynolds. He said, hey, Van City Reynolds, which is his Twitter name, maybe someday I'll bring over some Hand on Stone bourbon and we'll do a double feature. So yeah, it's just absolutely incredible. And Jeremy Kirby, Jack Kirby's grandson, he tweets, Snyder Cut is epic. Nothing more to add until everyone has had a chance to view it. Enjoy the ride. I think that tweet says it all. From Jeremy Kirby, Jack Kirby's grandson, the king, the guy who gave us the New Gods, who gave us the Fourth World, who gave us Darkseid, Steppenwolf, Granny Goodness, Mr. Miracle, Big Barda, Desard, Calibac, all of these epic, Orion, Light Ray, High Father, New Genesis, Apocalypse, Mother Box, Boom Tubes. Goodness me. Jeremy Kirby being happy about the Snyder Cut. And Warner Brothers didn't want this film to see the light of day? No. No way. No way. There's a tweet here from someone as well that says, if we're going to push the narrative that the Snyder Cut is a bad precedent for caving to toxic fans, then I need someone to articulate the moral superiority of the studio having Whedon torpedo Snyder's movie in the wake of his daughter's death, then blaming Snyder for its failure. Sorry, you can't blame the toxic fans. It's not the toxic fans that's the reason that this film got released. No, It was the work of, like I say, the toxic fans of this. They're minute. Yes, they are very vocal, but they are a small number. It's the majority of the Snyder Cut movement. They're the ones that wanted this film to see the light of day. They're the ones that campaigned and petitioned and rallied and bought billboards and advertising boards. They even showed it at the FA Cup football match here in the UK last year when Tottenham were playing Middlesbrough at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. You could see hashtag release the Snyder Cut being portrayed along the electronic billboards in the stadium. The fans paid for that, and they put half of the proceedings to AFSP. They've done donation drives, collaborating with Ink to the People. I've already shown you the one of the t-shirts that I've got as well. But my God, I'm glad this film has been released. I'm glad everybody can now see it, and you know, I'm just so happy that Zack Snyder's vision has finally seen the light of day. So, oh goodness me. And like I say, all the characters, all the actors, everybody involved, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I'm not fussed about movie awards or anything. I just want to see spin-offs and sequels now. That's what we want. We want to see those now because it demands it. It demands it. Jim Lee even spoke about all the storyboard concepts that he did. We might not see those specific versions now going forward if they do a sequel. It might be completely different because it does speak about the future, 20 years into the future. Batman does sacrifice his life, and then he has a child with Lois, and that child becomes the new Batman 20 years in the future and such things like that as well. So yeah, we might not get that rendition. We might get something different, but either way, I want to see it. I want to see the sequel, and I'm sure you guys do it as well. So hats off to everyone. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Christopher Nolan. Thank you, everybody at Warner Media and HBO Max, especially Jason Kylar. And thank you, most of all, to the fans, to you guys for the Snyder Cut, for the release of the Snyder Cut movement. As I said, I wasn't initially on board at the first time round, but then when I started to hear whispers of what was going on behind the scenes and started to see the work that you guys were doing, well, I thought, yeah, I want to be a part of this. You know, I may not be as vocal as they were, I may not have joined in with everything that they did as well, but I was part of it. You know, I wouldn't say that I was part of it, and I did my bit. You know, I've done my podcast, I've spoken about it, I've spoken about the Nerd Queens and Wonder Meg, Justice Con, DC Films Squadcast guys, Scott and Tim, and also there's also Ray Smith of the Flightcast. He does DC TV Squadcast, and also Fans Without Borders as well. You know, they've been very advocate and very vocal about this, especially since what they saw in 2017. They knew something wasn't right, and they knew there was something wrong, and they also wanted to know if there was a different version out there that should have been released. And guess what? You guys did it. You guys did it. We've got it. It's out. It's for everyone to see. Nobody can take it away from us now. No one can take it away from us. You cannot say that this film doesn't exist, because guess what? It does. The one in 2017 needs to be erased from all existence. And I mean all existence. If you've got it on physical copy, burn it. Burn it. Delete it if you've downloaded a digital copy as well. Remove it from IMDb, remove it from Rotten Tomatoes, because Zack Snyder's Justice League is the only version that should exist throughout all time. Simple as. That's it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and thank you if you've been listening as well. It's been a real pleasure. I'm going to see if I can watch this film again some point, either later today or even over the weekend. I'll try and watch it as many times as possible. Falcon and Winter Soldier has now been released on Disney Plus. I think me and the missus will be watching that tonight, and we'll enjoy that, obviously. My regular podcast will return next week. So yes, I will be returning to regular podcast news then. There is a fair amount to say, but this week has all been about Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League. So yeah, so one last time, restore the Snyderverse. Thank you all very much, people. It has been a pleasure. Leave comments, reviews, whatever, like, subscribe and everything such as, and see you all very soon. Goodbye.